Welcome, everybody, to the Onward VR Master League. My name's NightFiree with two ears. I have two of those as well. My co-caster, Trip, with 3 nips. How are you doing today, Trip?
I am doing very well. I'm excited to see some mid-afternoon, early afternoon, late night, wherever you are. We're starting our second round of Friday night fights with this beginners Vikings matchup today.
Yeah, it's I suppose, a rare EU Friday night fight session that we really have going on today. Fortunately that you and me are able to jump on this cast too, because it is certainly a very hyped matchup. Beginners versus Vikings, 2 top-tier EU squads battling it out. And, you know, I really want to see what Beginners are going to bring to the table. They went up against, I think it was Boss Fights, yes, and had a tough go about it. Ultimately keeping things somewhat close, but Boss Fight taking that series. And so, you know, Beginner is not necessarily off to an undefeated start or anything like that here in Season 11, but I'm curious to see if they kind of bounce back a little bit here, battle this one out, put up a good show against Vikings, because Vikings are certainly also a team that has been really improving over the years, and a team that's consistently been at the top of EU.
Yeah, and I want to say the same thing about Vikings. Vikings lost their first match to Velocity, but then came back and beat Silent Purge 12-4. So not a undefeated start as well.
And, you know, that's what I love to see in this Season 11 is I think because the variety in the map pool, because of the shift in meta from Season 10 to 11, you just get a whole different sort of play style from teams, and it really offers maybe not necessarily an even playing ground, but a different one for these teams to play on. And, you know, we are seeing some teams really excelling on some of these new maps like Sand, like USS Quest. And I mean, when we look at the pick bans today, nothing really out of the ordinary, right? I mean, stuff that we've seen already. But, you know, before we get into that, this series it's storied. You know, it's been around for a while. Trip, I mean, what do you think? I don't know really what to expect anymore from the EU side of things, because Beginners have proven that they're a team capable of quick play, capable of fast reactions. At the same time, they have that slow, methodical sort of drive to the objective that's always worked for them.
Yeah, I think they've opted to stage their attacks sooner. The play is the same. It just happens fast.
Right.
And that gives them the ability to redo it if they need to. I mean, a lot of the times it just kind of works, and I think that really plays into their the mind games, right? We talk about Onward mind games, and they're gonna they're gonna make this attack. You know that Smoils is gonna be like in the south end of the map shooting his LMG, just distracting while the rest of them encircle you. Killinger's gonna run in first. He's gonna clear some buildings. Like, you know how it's gonna happen, but you don't know when it's gonna come. And so you have to be on guard for the entire time. And then that's just keeping you on edge, keeping your heart rate up, and you're starting to get twitchier and twitchier as the round goes on. And I think that plays very well into their playstyle, because they don't have that kind of build up. They're just sitting there waiting. If they go at 4 minutes or if they go at 2 minutes, they are chill the whole time.
And they've really honed in the craft of being experts at collapsing on objectives, at syncing up as a team. They've really been, if anything, a model team to look at for how to coordinate an approach onto an objective, because they do it very well and very consistently. So curious to see, again, what we get out of the Beginners and what Vikings bring to the table here in this Week 3 matchup. We can take a look at the pick bans as this lobby begins to populate. Coming in from Beginners, we have the Sand ban, and coming in from Vikings, we have Quarantine. Exact same bans we saw yesterday. Bans we've seen pretty consistently, to be honest, in the league matches. Sand and Quarantine just getting knocked out. I feel all the time.
Yeah, I don't think that these Sand in particular, I don't think these veteran teams really want to play it. I feel like it's a wild card. It's just so quick, and the angles are just so unforgiving. Like, I don't even know how how to explain it, but if you've watched any of my streams, you'll know how I feel about it. Like,
Yeah,
that's how it is.
It's a very dangerous map, and you know, I feel like it would be a map that beginners could potentially really excel at because it does lend itself to some good coordinated collapses around objectives if they can be synced up properly. But either way, it's off of the table, as is Quarantine. The Quarantine ban, I guess if you think about it, not really too crazy, considering there's a good handful of new objective placements on Quarantine, and those new objective placements are pretty wild sometimes. So teams just opting to not go for Quarantine very much, at least in this season. We have seen it played by a few, but either way, those are our bans. The first pick of the day is going to be Bazaar, and this is pretty standard fare for beginners. They are a team that really does excel at Bazaar because Bazaar allows you to really, like we've said, encircle around the objectives and collapse onto them with some good timing. And so I very much anticipate that we'll see some good coordinated crashes onto OBJ when beginners attack this one, and it is their map pick. So Vikings got to be on their toes as we get into this round one. And I'm looking at active rosters for the day as the lobby is full. Coming in from Vikings, we have Caltrop, Noctum, Mantis, Shadow Warrior, and Nalik. And over on beginners, we have Dr. Killinger, Icy Woods, Paz, Smoils, and Strazak. The standard rosters from both sides that you would expect. And again, excited to see what we get out of this EU battle this afternoon, or night, I suppose. It is Friday night EU fights.
Yeah, let's see. It's currently what, like 7-8 o'clock there. Yeah. That's night.
We're hitting it.
It's a Friday night. Yeah. That's how time zones work. We're good at math, people. So yeah, like you said, with the quarantine ban, not only is it that there are new objectives, but there are new objectives that have then been altered since they were introduced. So like getting that map knowledge down is taking a lot more time because, you know, the goalposts obviously moved, right? Like the objective that was down underneath is now in the east on the side of glass building, and things have changed. Cap radiuses have changed. Things have been slightly altered throughout the season, up until the start of the season, I should say. And so we're really seeing a brand new Onward in almost every map. I'm trying to think, did any of the original maps not get a new objective? I think they all did. Okay, so Suburbia, Cargo, Subway, Quarantine, Bazaar, Downfall. Am I forgetting one?
USS Quest. Did you say that? I was starting a prediction. Okay, I was distracted. I'm trying to get the folks hyped about
starting the betting.
Yeah. We got to get folks in on the on the predictions. Obviously, now if you're hearing this, we're a little late. But either way, the 6-minute delay probably you are too late if you're hearing this now. But something we'll be doing at the start of every map, so be sure to be paying attention when a map kicks off. We want to see who you think is going to win. You can wager channel points that ultimately we'll be expanding on the offering of what channel points can get you, but it's certainly going to be something that's going to be worth your while and worth investing in getting the right prediction out there. So.
And I may or may not match the highest bidder on the opposing side, just because I like to do that. I got 50,000 points. What am I going to do with them?
That is a good question. What are you going to do with them? Spend them on betting and gambling. That's what you're going to do.
It's obviously the very adult, mature choice right there. And speaking of mature choices, we're going to start watching some Onward action. Round 1, map 1, tank objective, new objective on Bazaar. Let's kick it off. Vikings on defense. I think this is the quickest spawn. Beginner spawning behind the Kiat. And let's see if they push that aggressively. We're going to...
Yeah,
looks like Strazak's going to be the one pushing the corner.
I mean, we talked about
giving away that spawn.
Talk about new objectives being in the game. This is certainly one that well, obviously lends itself to some quick action as a quick spawn from beginners puts Killinger and Mantis right on top of everybody.
Mantis keeps creeping up into that blue room. I think he actually had a better spot in the door because he's so hidden with that darkness. And who is that in the far south? Noctum has pushed up very aggressively in the south. He's now at south center spawn. I guess he's waiting for someone to come flank. Or he's waiting for a flank. He could be waiting to go for a flank. I don't know how Vikings... I thought that Nalik was the resident flanker on Vikings, but maybe they've got some playstyle switch-ups. See... 4 beginners. I lost a beginner. Oh, I see Woods is in the Kiat top floor watching for anything. Okay. It helps when you have lasers. You can see, track them back to their shooter. Makes it a lot easier. But beginners, it's so weird. The objective was so close. Stragic and Nalik now also on opposite sides of the walls. I mean, all these players are right next to each other. They pushed up, and then they're just in a holding pattern. Now Stragic heard this footsteps coming out. He gets Nalik in the backside, clears out that east approach. Caltrop now watching that.
Oof, a good pickup there from Stragic. Mantis is going to swing out. He's going to challenge Killinger in the corner. And this Vikings team seemingly ready for the beginners push up. And now Mantis getting a little bit aggressive. He does swing out, maybe had an angle onto Woods for a brief moment in time, but has since lost that and tucked himself back in. Stragic finds Shadow Warrior up on that east side, and beginners are picking away at this Vikings defense.
Caltrop does have good lines on objective, but if he goes down, the lines on objective collapse. There's no one else, so he really needs to stay tucked in.
Yeah, it is certainly dangerous. Got Mantis here now after taking those shots, has exposed his sort of forward position, and Stragic doesn't seem to be worried at all about it. Woods is here covering it. Strajac's not going to swing around. I'm wondering where the rest of that beginner's offense is, because Stragic certainly is extended out from the rest of his team, not necessarily synced up as shots do come in from him.
Caltrop's got a C4. It's going up. Oh, it got caught. Oh, no. On the power line.
Are you serious?
That might be the fail of the week right there. I'm feeling it. And now Caltrop's exposed from two sides. Pause has him pinned from scaffolding. Stragic holding him in that spot. Mantis takes Woods down and is now flanking on the backside, though. If Caltrop can stay alive, Mantis is going to have a great approach here.
Yeah, it is going to be a solid defensive hold here if he can get there in time. Stragic and Pause have an opportunity to push in here, and if Stragic swings around here, he very well could go down to Mantis. Shots come in through the wall. Mantis trying to swing around, and he does find the kill on the backside. Caltrop, doused in smoke, has to shift out, and Pause is thirsty for this kill. He cannot find the angle. Caltrop swings wide and finds the kill himself. Vikings preventing beginners from entering in here is now Smoils. The lone attacker has to push up through the center.
And Noctum's still hanging out in that south center area. Hasn't made a rotation, hasn't made a flank. It looks like he's slowly collapsing back towards objective, but I don't think they have any idea where Smoils is. I don't think he's actually shot at all this round. Oh, and Noctum's exposed, but he sees Smoils out of the corner of his eye.
That's where Noctum was. I was wondering where the third defender had been that whole time that Caltrop and Mantis were working the northeast corner. He had been patiently waiting down here at the very bottom so that he could find essentially the final kill, and a great hold from Vikings prevent a advantageous beginner's spawn from going wrong. Danger close, but ultimately nothing to worry about.
Yeah, it's definitely you're very, very confident in your defender gunfight that's happening across the map, because there would have been no way to make it back to objective if they had gone down. So I'm assuming that the communication was very high coming from Caltrop, making sure that Noctum knows we're still alive. Don't worry about it.
Oh, and we are underway here into this series. Vikings pushing themselves up into a 1-0 lead. And Beginners are not a team to back down from a challenge or to let a lead or even a 3-0 lead shut them down. They're a team that truly is capable of bouncing back at any point, at any given time in a map. And I think it's what makes them so dangerous is you really do have to play every single round the best you can to beat a team like Beginners. You can't let up on offense. You can't let up on defense, or things just do not go your way. And so we'll see if Vikings can sort of maintain this momentum for what is going to be a few more rounds at least, but curious to see what we get. And, and again, I like to talk about it, but I feel like the new objectives, the new maps, they offer opportunities for innovation that you very rarely get. Well, that we haven't had for 10 seasons, essentially. And so there's finally this variety here, and maybe we'll see some teams excel at that adaptation to the variety better than others.
Now, how do you feel about this objective in particular getting capped on? Because Vikings, as we know, like to get in there and get on that objective.
Yep.
But I mean, I see it both ways. There's not a lot of coverage on this objective. There's only so many spots you can defend it from. But there's also not a lot of capping spots that you can do concealed. You have to just be there on the objective exposed. So do you think they're going to go for it? I mean, most of the time I've seen it come from the north.
And, here's, I think, the point that this leads to is, again, shifts in meta and shifts in Season 11. And with Smokes being back in the toolkit and C4s as well, you just see a little bit more variety in approaches. Obviously, no utility or C4 getting used in that round one from either squad. But I think as we get more into these rounds, we're going to start to see the utility come out. So maybe a smoke play could come out here from Vikings that ends up allowing them to push up to this tank objective. To the point about how I feel about capping it, there's defensive angles that you really have to hold, and if those angles can get suppressed, or if you can get the picks you need onto those angles, like we saw, for example, with the Vikings defense, if they had lost Caltrop, that would have been the open cap opportunity. And so it depends on what the setup looks like, what angles you're holding on defense. If you decided to push out into the mini bazaar or swing over to that far south wall, there's a lot of variety in the defensive setups here. And I think obviously a kill box is what you want to look for. And I feel like when I've seen a good tight kill box on this objective, it really does work well.
Yeah, I'm torn. I mean, there's very, very common spots for this one. And it's new, so it might just be that everyone's doing what everyone else does because they haven't really tried out their own thing yet. But obviously where Caltrop was, common spot. Where Stragic was attacking from. Honestly, I'm surprised there wasn't a defender over there just north of the objective in this little shack area. Like, that's pretty common. Obviously, you got one in the blue room across, like, diagonal from the tank, and then someone by blue room behind scaffolding. And your fifth is kind of a wild card, but that's pretty common every time we see this. The only times we don't see that is when someone gets, like, really pushy. And then again, I'm not sure we know where all the spawns are. I don't know how many times you have to spawn into the map to get, an idea of where all the spawns are. But I know there's one behind Kiot for this objective. There's one on the far west side. I think we talked my last cast, and it was in the northwest corner, like Volk spawn for the western objective, and then possibly also one in the southwest corner. So pushing out aggressively could pay off. I mean, you could, if they're not at Kiot, you can push out a lot more. You can push out basically halfway across the map. But if they're at Kiot and you push out and you're looking for one of those far spawns, you're going to get caught on some cross angles, leaving, and it's not going to be a good time. And then your defense has to adjust. I mean, you plan your defense out for this, I'm going to get to this position and that's where I'm going to hold. And if you don't make it there, does your defensive pattern hold with only 4 or 3 defenders still alive? Or do you have to make it up on the fly after you start losing people? And I think that's where you start getting gaps in coverage, and you get those caps, those opportunity caps, because people are having to watch 2 angles, or they're having to watch too much of an angle. or they're not communicating. I think the thing that sets those teams apart that can do that are if I rotate or if someone rotates and you are watching an angle that you were not set up to watch on the board or in the tent, and you have to make that communication. You have to say, hey, I'm watching up North Street. I've got the corner covered. Because if two of you are looking that way, one of you is looking south, you don't have coverage. And so that the communication above all is what's key in, especially on newer maps and newer objectives, because you got to be flexible.
Yep. Yeah, and if you're wondering why Trip has been rambling for several minutes here, it's because we are patiently waiting for a fifth to rejoin lobby. So please bear with the technical pause. Hopefully it's quick and we don't have to cut to an intermission and they can get back into the action shortly. We got all kinds of stuff to plug and talk about, so I can certainly burn some time. Obviously, we can take a look at, first off, the bets and where they've lined up. 61% of the channel points going to beginners, 39% going to Vikings. So chat favoring the beginners, or at least investing more into the beginners coming out on top in this first map at least. But so far, I wonder if 61% of the chat's feeling a little bit nervous, because Vikings did look good there on that defensive hold and did snag this early lead. So an interesting little bit of information. Trip, I think I see you on the beginner side of things. Are you feeling nervous about your prediction?
Well, I am concerned. We voted on, this was for the first map, right? This is the whole first. Okay.
Yes,
I just want to make sure I understand what I'm putting money
You're
in.
fine.
No, actually, I just threw my money in on the beginner side because the highest bet so far was fellow caster Ramen on the Viking side with 2690 points. So I matched that and threw it onto the other side. Got to keep those odds high.
So you're the one that's keeping it on beginner's favor, then, is what you're telling me.
Absolutely. I mean, I do personally feel that beginners have a little bit more experience on Bazaar in particular, but I don't know if that experience will actually equate to a win. We've seen both these teams do well, and we've seen both these teams do very badly. I mean, like, we've seen upsets, we've seen just blowouts, so it's really hard to predict. Honestly, I'd rather be doing channel predictions on lower matchups, right? I feel like it's a lot more.
It's the challenge. It's the draw. Okay, it's not just easy gambling here. That's not what gambling is. You gotta be willing to lose what you're putting up. So, well, anyway, the prediction's certainly something I'm happy to see. They'll be featured several maps, over the course of these maps. Maybe eventually it'll evolve into a more advanced system. But obviously, channel points are going to be expanding. We'll be doing some more offerings, what you can get with those channel points. Some kind of more fun ways to maybe interact with us here on the casting desk. Also, a quick shout out to Durafen for the 23 months of subscription. Jeez Louise. And Cause Danny coming in with his 5 months Prime sub. We really do appreciate the subs and the follows. They end up coming back to the casting team and production team and help support what is become now something I'm very proud of, with the VRML casting team. Lots of casts going on. I think we had 3 games live in the second week of season 11. So we're really we're firing on all cylinders right now. And I mean, how could we not when we got great action like we've been seeing? Obviously, while we're in this pause here, I'm sure it's now an official timeout taken by the likes of beginners. So they may be coming down on 10 or 5 minutes left of this timeout. But while I have you, please be sure to remember to tune in tomorrow for the Echo Arena Challenger Cup. It's going to be pretty dang hype. It's essentially what we would refer to as the wild card tournament, where the top 6 teams are battling for a chance to move up into the finals for Echo Arena, which are next weekend. So a lot of great Echo Arena action. That'll be featured on the twitch.tv/VR Master League Twitch channel. I highly recommend jumping in and tuning in. It's going to be incredibly hype. They have a fantastic casting team with great production, all kinds of cool assets and stuff that we are trying to sort of mimic in some extents here. You've seen us with the creators team. If you aren't aware, you should be subscribing to the VRML YouTube. We're doing highlight reels there weekly for each week of the season. The first one's out there. It's awesome to see. Second one's coming up. I really want to encourage more folks to follow and subscribe to that YouTube channel, because it's a space that we're going to be expanding on more as we get into Season 11. We're going to be trying to do team interviews, putting those there, and a lot of different sort of variety, if you will, to the YouTube channel outside of, in addition to the re-uploads of live broadcasts. So a lot to be offered up there, and now we've got another drop from Vikings, so we very well might have to cut into an intermission as we do wait for this lobby to get sorted and for round 2 to kick off. Do you have any thoughts before I take us away?
Well, I do want to correct you on, I believe we now call it the Open Qualifier.
Okay, well.
Was the wild card,
Sure.
Challenger Cup, whatever. Now, Open Qualifier, and then Closed Qualifier, semis, and finals. That's how it goes now.
Okay, well, thank you for the update on my verbiage. Now I know it's there's a lot there's a lot going on top of that. You can catch me and Trip doing some Population 1 casting on my own personal channel, but I would encourage you guys to first go follow the Echo Arena VRML channels, because that action is, it's gonna be insane. There's going to be a lot of folks tuning in, and also it's going to be on Venues. So if you want to check it out in the headset, you can always head over to Venues on the Quest and watch it with a bunch of other folks in a big sort of movie theater style space. So I think that's all the plugs I have. I guess in addition,
we got sponsors.
Yeah. We got the sponsors. We got HyperX. We have ProTube VR. We have Fixed Gaming. We have Asterion. We got Cyber Shoes. We have VR Cover. A lot of sponsors coming in to support this league that ultimately allow us to offer up a pretty competitive prize pool for these teams, putting out a nice incentive for the top squads to really compete and battle it out for. And hey, if you've been playing this game for 5 years, like Beginners and Vikings have, a little incentive goes a long way in keeping you around playing this game. Granted, I think they'd still probably play it regardless, just because they are certainly hardcore fans of Onward, as we all are. But either way, it's there, and it's nice to have. It certainly is. It is growing as well. So if you are new and you don't even know it, there's prizes to compete for. There's something to work towards. And I'm looking at you, Raptors. You're certainly challenging that new team joining the league and being able to compete for it. So exciting times now, but yeah, we are still waiting for the 5th to rejoin for Beginners. Again, we should probably only be about 5 minutes in this intermission, maybe less. We'll be right back for round number 2 of Beginners vs. Vikings. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for that brief intermission. We didn't even go the full length of it. Beginners are back into the mix now. They have their full roster, no subs, nothing too crazy coming in, with the tech timeout hopefully solves any issues that they were having, and Strajak can continue to be a key element in defense as he does push out. The early spawn for Vikings results in some very quick action as Strajak sends rounds downrange into the mini bazaar.
Beginners definitely not pushing out as much as Vikings did. Killinger only going into the southwest, not bazaar, courtyard. That's the word. Stacking 3 deep there. Wait, I lost one. 4 deep in the south.
Yeah.
They're really concerned about that south approach when the quick spawn was behind Kiat, and Stragic is all alone in the northeast.
Well, you know, we question the setup, but it is, you look at the angles and they've got the right coverage. Killinger's watching for what could be a flank in through this mini bazaar, and also I think he's holding a very tight angle into that room through a slice there. Smoils is watching Main Street for a cross, which I'm sure he hasn't identified yet, so they have the information they need. They know they've really got this team right now tucked into this corner where they are. Then you also have the final sort of one that's over here, Pause, who, while he is in this vicinity of the south, he's really a north defender. Smoils finds Shadow Warrior trying to cross out through the center. He's going to be now obviously identified by the rest of the team, and Caltrop's looking for the refrag.
There was one trying to cheese cross, but he didn't actually go. But he's by the sandbags.
While we wait on that approach, Noctum is moving up the south, so it was smart to throw someone down here. Caltrop does get Smoils eventually.
Big tag at that. And what's really impressive to know is that there's no name tags. He just knows that he killed Smoils because of the positioning. That's how well that these players know each other and know their play styles, that when they down somebody, they know who they downed and can react off of it. So now they know the suppressive fire of Smoils is gone. Granted, I think he had a G36C, so he wasn't even rocking an LMG. But Dr. Killinger is next up on the attack list for beginners as he's got a really tight angle here. Mantis does find one.
Where was Stragic going for a northern approach. I see where he died now. Okay, going for that flank.
Yeah, very similar to what we did see Vikings pull out with, I think it was Mantis at some point. Woods finds Noctum, who was trying to swing around over on that south side. So a big pickup there, and now beginners can shift their attention appropriately towards the objective, which you do see Woods and Pause both dialed in. And even Killinger potentially on a rotation to peek for an angle as Woods scoops up Mantis.
Woods now rotating out of that corner. What a great line he had past the tank to the blue room. I didn't even realize that was an angle.
Yeah,
confirming that body too.
He had a lot of coverage. I mean, he gets the kill all the way in the south and then can quickly swing and have another line of sight there to support Pause. And really, it's what you like to see out of these high-level teams. They know their angles. They've assessed where they can be to properly defend different positions. And beginners off to, well, they've got the 3-2 lead now as round 2 ticks down.
Caltrop hunting. He's got to find somebody in this courtyard. He's just waiting for footsteps.
I mean, it's Killinger that he's waiting for, and yeah, he's hearing the movement from Killinger here, and now that Killinger's pushed into this room, Caltrop crouches down and gets a little bit more cautious, and I really don't think Killinger is even remotely ready for Caltrop to be this close to him. And you know, you got to almost wonder here, can Caltrop avoid Killinger here?
I think the answer to that is yes, but he's going to have to deal with Pause on a quick peek around this corner.
Oh, and perfectly timed as Paz checks the tablet and lets down his guard. Caltrop swings around. Now that's cleared out. Nolik is in a comfortable overwatch on objective. He could have taken out Killinger there if he had stayed on that hole in the wall position, but Killinger is able to tuck back in, and Caltrop is getting a little bit aggressive after taking those shots, feeling free to move around and sprint, not worried about making Killinger aware that he's here. There's a good nade toss, and it's a smoke, actually, that forces Killinger out. Killinger threw a nade. That detonates and doesn't catch Caltrop. Killinger swings out from the smoke to defend. Nolik finds him, and it's all up to Icy Woods.
Caltrop definitely heard the yells from Killinger there, knows he's down, knows that the objective should be open. Now he knows where Icy Woods is, and he's going for the easy kill. And he finds the backside. Vikings take their second point.
And really good individual play coming in there from Caltrop at the end to get the smokes, to move them out, avoids the nade, tucks in. Great swing from Nolik, and ultimately a nicely timed pinch as well from the teamwork side of things from Vikings to get them this 2-0 lead. Really nicely done. And yeah, a solid hold there for Vikings to get them a second round now. And Beginners not off to a good start on their map pick here on Bazaar.
And just to make things harder, we are going to move to the Kiat objective, which has been changed.
Oh no!
Now the big part is that the top floor no longer is separated.
Yeah, a change that's been in for not too long, but especially, I suppose, not too long if you're a veteran player. If you're a new player, I think it's always been there for you. But the walls used to be there, and now there's no separation. So you have a little more freedom to move around and Kayot appropriately defend, at least the upstairs. But, I mean, geez, we've still seen teams sprint straight at this objective, punching a code while 5 are left alive. So Kayat is certainly one of, if not the most volatile objective. I suppose not the most anymore, considering some of the new ones that have been put into a couple of these maps.
Yeah, I think it's just there's so much more, since as an attacker you can now get upstairs and then just run across and get downstairs. You have so much more viable cap area. Like, you don't have to pick a side and go for it and hope that they don't make their rotation and catch you. You can just run away from them. So if they're not looking, or you could run out on the balcony, it is worth mentioning, you can cap from the balcony still, second floor, or inside even, on right above the objective. So there's a lot of ground that you have to cover as a defender, especially if you're a solo last up. It's very, very difficult, and that's really what you want as an attacker. You just want to knock him down to one and just watch him make his runs around the map. Beginner's going to spawn in the southeast.
Yeah,
So
curious
that's my
how they're
preferred
gonna
spawn.
roll out with this one. You can kind of charge right into that mini bazaar and be a quick threat, but the problem is it is what Vikings are also looking for. They do have an initial rollout that gets some coverage into this mini bazaar to prevent an early push up, and you have the likes of Nolik and Caltrop both sort of tucked in here waiting for the push to come in, but Beginners are a bit more patient than that and are taking their time as they work and can take control of this east side. All 5 over here. There's no flanks getting sent just yet.
You've also got Noctum in the north here. He's waiting for that far eastern approach, watching that long, tight angle.
We actually had a disconnect, so Beginners are down 1. Strayjack still having some tech problems, clearly, and now it's affecting the ability for the Beginners team to push in here. A 4v5, an early advantage for the Vikings defense. It's exactly what you need when you've got the Kayot objective.
Is Pause going to be ready for Noctum on this north wall here?
He's very much eyeing this spot and patiently defending it. Pause should be wary of this cross. It is a dangerous cross. He does make it. Shots come in, and yeah, he doesn't quite go for the full sprint across. He gets a little bit peaky looking around the edge. Noctum has all the time in the world to take those shots and finds himself a nice kill. Beginners now down to 3 as Woods is going to try and swing around here and maybe look for that refrag.
Noctum gives up that position, rotates back towards Kiat. Now they're setting up a nice, strong Eastern Courtyard defense here with Caltrop, Nalik, and Noctum still holding that side. Mantis on the far west doing nothing, because no one is going to be going that way for now.
There's the distracting shots from Smoils, the LMG. Just a few ringing out there in the blue room, and we'll see if Caltrop and Nalik are going to be ready for this push up. They certainly are not, as Caltrop goes down to Icy Woods, who's made his way into Mini Bazaar. Caltrop peeking in through that lane, maybe forgetting that he's exposed there as he gets kind of caught up in defending Killinger's position. But either way, Noctum also looking for a little bit of action himself. Killinger tries to defend that entry point.
Noctum doesn't actually have to do anything. He just has to keep them there and make them wait out this time. His presence on that north alley means they can't come out that way. It's really hard to get out with the defender up there.
Almost a kill, and there's a nice bit of C4 play coming in from Nalik. Catches one out, and actually I think that was a
Killinger frag Nalik through the wall.
It looked like a C4 detonation, but yeah, you're right. It was a Killinger frag. A great little toss there, and it opens up the opportunity to get the confirm. Noctum is right there. Killinger seems to spot him and just misses with the shots. Wow.
Doesn't miss on the second take, though, and now Shadow Warrior looking at that window. If Killinger peeks his head up again, he might get taken out.
Killinger are taking this 4v5 in stride and have tied things up now 2-2. Mantis looking for a frag up towards, well, oh, Woods in the back, and
wait, Mantis killed Shadow.
What?
As last man, I'm confused. Hold on.
I don't even know how that round just ended like that, but
wait, I gotta replay. I gotta watch this.
Wow.
Wood shot Mantis, and Mantis shot Shadow Warrior.
You hate to see it. The team kill coming in at the worst possible time. They're fortunate that it wasn't I guess he couldn't have ended a round on the team kill, right? That would be impossible. But either way, I guess he could have died, and then I don't know.
That's what they did. They ended the round on a team kill. It was the last kill on the kill feed.
But they don't get punished. But they don't get the 2 points.
It's not a suicide.
Yeah, correct. So I don't.
Wow.
I don't know what happened there, but beginners end up coming out on top. A nice little push in gets them a point that they very much needed as the game was starting to sort of slip away from them. Stray Jack's back in, so the pause between rounds shouldn't be too long. And what a great way for beginners to bounce back from what could have been really an easy 3-0 lead.
Yeah, especially like you said, getting it with a 4-5.
Yeah.
You know, man down deficit, still managing to get that objective. I think that just goes to show how hard it is to defend Kiat. I mean,
yep. No, it's truly a great example of how difficult, just exactly how difficult this Kiat objective is to defend. See what we get as we dive into round 3. Curious to see what Vikings do with the attack. They have a different spawn, so opposite side of the map, but in reality equally as close to the objective.
Yeah, that's just
beginners are going to be doing the smart thing, splitting 2-2-1. Killinger does see the movement, which will hopefully adjust some of this defense.
Yeah, and I was thinking maybe we'd see, I think it was Peacekeepers that just straight sprinted to the objective to cap Nalik. I thought might be going for that kind of early aggression, but has since taken his pause as he's gotten into position, doing a brief headset readjustment to make sure he's comfortable before He begins his push with the rest of his team as they all set up outside of him.
Yeah, looking at the defense overhead, honestly, the defense on objective is what happened?
Yeah. Wow.
I wasn't watching. I couldn't see it. I don't know. But that was intentional. I think he was having some issues or something.
Oh, you think he...
It was one shot to the head. I mean, he hadn't been hurt. Couldn't have been a needle mishap.
I don't know. That's a weird one. By the way, a few disconnects and ultimately Vikings now suffering the same fate that beginners did. They're into a 4v5.
As I was saying before I was rudely interrupted by the Vikings suicide, though, the objective defense is not that strong.
Yeah.
Now, could you thread the needle? I mean, that's pretty hard, right? You know, but
it's not out of the question, really. You could technically get past everyone but Smoils. Woods is taking peeks here, but Smoils is really the one that's truly holding it. If Smoils and Woods go down, yeah, objective is dangerously exposed for a cap opportunity, and something that you don't necessarily see very often on a map like this, or on an objective like this, but maybe the spread out strat will help beginners properly defend. And as I say that, Noctum does get one of two very important kills.
yeah, I think the big threat here is if someone gets Smoils and then they just run into the Kiat, finding them is going to be difficult. And Stragic goes down to Mantis. Now Smoils has to be moving around more. And now he's exposed. He's going for that res. Shadow didn't catch that on the rotation. Pause has come in from north and is tucked in on objective tighter now. Caltrop on the other side going in to get Killinger.
Yeah, and they're really getting threatened from a lot of different angles. Noctum pushing in, finds Smoils, gets that one kill. Caltrop threatening in from the center. Overwatch from Shadow Warrior down onto objective, making it difficult to rotate around. And Strajak getting a huge kill on there. The Noctum. Killinger trading a key trade as Shadow Warrior scoops up Pause. Things are into a 1v1. Strajak dangerously away from objective, has to crash back here, as I'm sure Killinger is calming to him to rotate, and Shadow Warrior just in the center waiting for the kill.
Shadow needs to stay low enough that Killinger can't see him and make these call-outs. He did hear the gunshots from Stragic on a confirmation kill, so he should know that there's someone in the east, but I'm assuming he can also hear Killinger just yelling at this point, so.
And if anything, Strajak may end up rotating around to get the res. It's certainly not without out of the question. Could be a nice strat to put him up into a 2v1. I don't know what Strajak just put there on the ground, but Shadow Warrior is really dialed in here looking for this rotation. Doesn't see it as he's crouched down beneath the wall, and both get up. Now they're into a 1v2.
What a clutch res there from Stragic. I mean, I thought Shadow saw him go across and just didn't see him come back. Now he's not going to see him on his right side. Stragic should see him.
Huge.
Beginners staying alive. Second point. Yeah, man. That right place, right time. 100% of that round. That was great plays.
Wow. Tied up, as you would really expect out of these top two teams. Granted, some very strange interactions and some unfortunate disconnects plaguing both sides, but I suppose really plaguing them equally as both teams going into a 4v5, and ultimately beginners able to take 2 points and now have a nice tie here, which is not what you want if you're Vikings. You do not want to let a team like beginners back into this thing, especially when you've had a couple of good round wins.
And no caps coming out on the Kiat, so we are going to be moving to a new objective. We're going to be going South Central, Humvee, ice cream truck, whatever you call it.
Yeah, and this one you want to talk about getting capped on is certainly I don't know, not easier to cap on than Kayat, but if you can get into the right places, just as capable. So it really comes down to defending the all-important room that is shared with this objective. If you lose control here, it's really pretty much game over. You have to crash, you have to invest everything into preventing control of this room, and so we'll see what Beginner's offense looks like. Maybe we'll get a quick spawn for him and a quick bit of play from Beginners to kick off this round number 5.
And I mean, we have seen some pretty epic, just quick pushes on here. We've seen Animal House do the smoke and just run through the bazaar and cap it.
Yeah.
We've seen that on Kiat. We saw Peacekeepers do that on Kiat, and we've seen it on the East objective with a couple of teams that just kind of rush for it. And the ability to do that and to change that up on Bazaar is what makes it a more dangerous map. You have to be ready for anything. Beginners going down the east side now.
Yeah, not necessarily a quick spawn to work off of, and if they do try and cross too early, it could lead to a couple of deaths, and that's exactly why they take these early, almost defensive positions here, to see if there's any aggression from Vikings to rotate in here, and if they can clear out all of these different angles, they can then a bit more confidently cross the street.
I feel like you have to have smokes to cross this street now. I mean, are the angles still there, or have they put more stuff from where Shadow's position is?
I didn't cock it though. Cock it.
I think you can actually make it if you just run for it.
A little fun bug there if you're wondering what the heck's going on. Pause had to reload Killinger's gun because Killinger couldn't reload it. And so we had a little bit of an exchange of weaponry there. Pause fixes the bug and hands the gun back to Killinger, and now Killinger can once again be an effective part of the team. But maybe a reason for the pause, not quite sure. Either way, they are now beginning their advancement, and this is more what you would anticipate from the Beginner's offense.
And the defense, a little more spread out than we're used to. I don't think we normally see 2 members in the southeast courtyard, but Nalik and Caltrop both there. And I mean, I feel like they really like to do this. They like to have those overlapping positions. So if one of them goes down, they can get that immediate refrag, and it works out well. But it does limit how many angles you can cover. You have to commit 2 people to one spot.
Yeah. Nalik's position is certainly going to be an effective one just because of how deep the angle is that he's holding. He's really going to be catching the back of Beginners as they push out here up along the south wall. And so if they do not clear out this building, Nalik's going to be able to at least catch 1 or 2, make this rotation. Have to keep an eye on his Woods is swinging here.
Yeah, but I think that's the smart play. I mean, how often do you look behind you when your team is behind you? But Killinger picks up Nalik instead.
A big kill, too, because they were in danger of being collapsed on. For a minute there, Mantis was looking like he wanted to challenge and potentially push up. I think Caltrop also looking for some early picks, obviously, with his position there, and he finds that Killinger goes down not before Woods can kill him. I mean, literally almost exactly at the same time. A kill still does come in, though, and Vikings at least get 1. They're still, though, down 3-4.
Mantis rotating positions now, giving up that eastern blue room off of objective. Just going to let Stragic push down the street unopposed. Now has the west side collapsed in. Knocked him still hanging out in the southwest corner. I think that's too far to run for a cap stop, so we'll see. But I think he sees Woods. I see Woods.
Yeah, he is certainly really far out there, and as Woods makes this advance, Noctum may find that angle. But there's a lot of walls and a lot of coverage for Woods to work around, and so we'll see what the push ends up looking like. They are certainly getting into some good positions. If Strajak can push forward, if Woods had stayed alive, they would have had the pinch beginning to unfold, but Now as Strayjack pushes in, it's not looking too great for this beginner's setup. If anything, it's a little bit discoordinated.
I don't know, a couple of smokes on objective could probably force out some rotations from the defense. I don't know how I feel about Mantis' spot, though. I don't... He's close to objective. He can look both ways, but there's nowhere to get out of. You can't leave that spot. So once they've spotted you or you shoot someone, and he's looking for Smoils now. Stragic comes around the corner. Smoils gets Mantis as he peeks out to see what those footsteps were all about. Stragic's now near objective. I mean, I don't know why someone hasn't run out yet for the objective. Smoils putting smokes north of the objective, trying to draw attention that way. Smoke's coming from the south as well. I don't know if they know Stragic is that close, but Shadow finds him.
Oh my gosh,
knocked
the
him, gets
double.
pause.
I got south.
Smoils is still pushing in, though, collapsing into the smokes, looking to challenge Shadow Warrior, in a C4 detonation. Catches him out. A key C4 at that, but ultimately is patiently saved for that very moment. Vikings do a great job to clean up a push that was looking nicely coordinated from beginners, and ultimately get themselves the lead again, 3-2.
I love those C4 positions. We're seeing new ones every game we cast. We're seeing new ones, and they're not using them to defend objective anymore. They're using it to defend an approach onto their position.
Yeah. Yeah, I love to see the variety in it. You know, C4 is back in play, and with them being gone for a full season, it's been a lot of time for teams to forget about it. It's a forget that it's an element that you have to sort of check for and look for in certain spots before you make entry points, and it's hard on a map like this when you have so much terrain to cover and so much to look at. It's you know, I'm sure you easily blended it into the corner here, right onto the curb, or I mean, there's a ton of places that C4 could have been placed to get the kill that it got. So C4 definitely an element that we'll see more of this season, and I'm sure we'll start to see it more consistently from the top teams. I mean, really, we are seeing it consistently from the top teams. The game we watched yesterday had a triple kill C4 on Subway, and then right after that, another kill with C4 in the same round. So teams are certainly using it, and you know, if you're on the offense, you got to start remembering to check for C4 placements.
Especially those, like, this one was just outside the radius of being too close to the objective, right? You don't really expect, like, once you start hearing the objective, you don't really expect that there's a C4.
Sure. But it's a very high traction space. You know, if you had a heat map of where players run when they push this objective, I would say that little corner is super hot.
Killinger with the early shots onto the corner, trying to get Nalik. Not going to see that. Mantis with the smokes now coming out of... I'm confused what those smokes are covering. Mantis is running across the street, gets behind the Jersey barrier. He's covered from the south. Okay, he's protecting himself from the south with those smokes, and now he's moving across the street with Nalik shooting at the window. Killinger takes down Nalik. Mantis moving up now. Needs more support from his teammates. Knocked him. Slowly creeping down the east side of the bazaar. Caltrop and Shadow Warrior just panning those windows.
And, you know, a nice attempt there. I saw the intention. The problem is Killinger's defensive position is still kind of new. You know, that window used to be impenetrable. It used to not even be a window. Now it's fully see-through, fully shoot-through. And so Killinger getting himself a nice angle there to get that kill unsuppressed in that window. And Mantis has to now push up through quite a few different defensive angles. Strayjack, Killinger, Smoils can swing and have a shot as well. And we'll see if Vikings can time it up to force these defensive angles to look elsewhere.
Shadow Warrior putting smokes out. Mantis pushing up and getting Strajak ahead of the smokes. I think that's what confused him. He wasn't ready for someone to be there that fast.
No, and it was a great move by Mantis. Perfectly timed almost out off of that smoke audio to push in. There's a good swing from Woods. Shadow Warrior on the back end gets the refrag. Noctum scooping up a couple in the middle. Pause goes down to Noctum. Killinger finds Caltrop trying to make his advance to the objective, and now he has to watch the backside as Shadow Warrior is trying to pinch in. It's a 2v2.
Killinger's making the rotations to check this backside. He's up in the 2-story. He hasn't peeked out the back yet. There's the check of the alley. But Shadow is south of the courtyard. And honestly, you should probably be pretty unopposed to make this cross.
You might find an easy shot on a Killinger, too, if Killinger's not careful.
There's a lot of angles to watch in this alleyway.
Absolutely, and really going to come down to if they can sync up. Killinger able to peek out with a lack of pressure from the back and finds Noctum. If anything, really, Shadow Warrior needed to keep Killinger's attention here because now it's all up to Shadow Warrior in a 1v2, and he hears Killinger's comms and perfectly reads it. Killinger goes down. The swing out there, and now he's identified the final defender's position, Smoils. Oh, wow, this is a crazy
going for the
rotation.
res instead of the objective?
He can get back fast, though. Shadow Warrior's here. Killinger has the sight over, and he's inside. Tablets out. Smoils is going to come back. Can he get here in time? Shadow Warrior trying to punch on the code. Gun comes up, and he can't get there in time to defend. Smoils finds the kill, but just barely. Beginners keep themselves in this one and tie it up 3-3.
Honestly, if Shadow Warrior had gone for that cap where he started that put, I mean, he was like here, and he ran into the objective building, but you can cap from this Humvee. I don't know. I mean, I get that it's exposed, but like, yeah.
Killinger peeked that lane and just missed him. And yeah, I mean, hey, we've seen guys cap in 3 seconds, so he had enough time to technically cap, but it's hard to do it that fast, and ultimately you can't get it in time.
Oh, and to finish off map 1, we are going to a new objective. Southeast. I forget this one exists. Southeast Courtyard. I've only seen it.
The new one.
I've only actually seen it played in the highlight reel. I haven't actually seen a match on this yet.
Oh, it's got a great couple of highlights on it. Some great great flash cap on here that I remember getting put out. But yeah, this again, you know, the new objective here for Bazaar, and very curious to see. I mean, what a objective placement to end it on. Nothing familiar for these teams. Nothing over in the Northwest. It's a fresh OBJ, and beginners have to attack it. It's a true test of who is ready with these new objectives and who can adapt, as it does come down to this for map number 1.
So if you are just joining us, obviously we are a good bit into this, but you haven't missed a whole lot. We're an hour into the stream. You're just catching the end of map 1, so don't worry about it. You get to watch all the cool action unfold. You'll know who won map 1. Then we can move on to maps 2 and 3, which, what do you think is going to be map 2 here?
I saw Vikings practicing USS Quest before the series. That's going to be their map pick. Sand off of the table. Beginners maybe a little bit nervy about the close quarters. They just lost against boss fight on that map, so there's footage for Vikings to dissect and copy. And so I don't know. I'm going to lean towards USS Quest for a Vikings pick here. Otherwise, I don't really know where else you go. Downfall, not necessarily a beginner's weak point. And I mean, maybe Snow Peak is something that you bring to the table, because I think beginners also lost the boss fight on that map as well.
I agree with everything you said. I think you're spot on. The USS Quest definitely feels like a Vikings map. Snow Peak also good, but I don't think it leans heavily one way or the other.
Yeah, you know, I kind of agree, but I guess that's what you're looking for when you're going up against beginners, right? Just at least an even playing field, not somewhere that you know that they are comfortable on. And well, I guess, hey, even on maps they're comfortable on, Vikings proving that they're capable of challenging the beginners. We'll see if they can run away with map number 1 or if beginners can hold on here and battle back from a deficit as we get into round 7.
So tense. So tense. It's game point. It's map point here. Everything is. It's a different pace. It's a different feel.
You know, what it is and what it's really demonstrating is confidence in Vikings and what they know. Nalik is singing, standing on objective at the start of a round because he is guaranteed in his mind that beginners will not push. He knows the beginner's playstyle so well that he has the confidence to sit there and know that they're not going to try and challenge this. They're not going to push up. Frankly, it would be really incredibly aggressive for them to push up that early and cross the street like that. But it's still, not something that it's funny, but at the same time, it is a demonstration of the confidence that Vikings have in their gameplay knowledge.
I think that was a flash by Killinger to clear blue room in the east courtyard. Nobody there. Nobody pushed across this middle street. This is the no man's land, center street.
And, if you pushed up that far, that would be really quite aggressive. It would be somewhat close to OBJ, but to have to cross that street and go back and defend, you're almost certainly going to be shot. And so a heavy risk that you see Caltrop not taking, instead opting to stay on objective side of the street, but arguably farther away from objective than he would be if he was pushed up there. So we'll see what ends up happening with the beginner's push. Maybe Caltrop will have to go for a bit of a long rotation and could be caught out of position, but it's really going to come down to beginners timing things right, and they've had a tough time doing that. Vikings have done great to pick off 1 or 2 beginners before they can really set up their approach, and maybe beginners can get things working for themselves here in this final round.
Speaking of picking off beginners, we did have a drop on the beginner side.
Oh my goodness.
Icy Woods just got back in the lobby, but a 4-man approach, final point for map 1.
I mean, unfortunate, but see what beginners can do. They've won 4v5s before. Not something to deter them. Granted, it was with a different roster. Strajak was the one there that disconnected, not Woods. So hopefully it's still going to be a strong enough roster to get this W, and we'll see. They managed to cross street here and should be relatively uncontested as they do push up eventually towards this objective. I don't know, what do you call it? Courtyard?
Southeast courtyard. Yeah, I think it's the only courtyard object. Well, we have east courtyard.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's plenty of courtyards, pal. Technically,
but how many of them have
5
objective?
courtyards.
I do think the approach here is the best. I mean, you cross the street on the far end, you don't get picked off. You can get staged very close to the objective. Basically, outside the block, you can be staged up and ready to go. You just have to deal with Noctum in the south.
Yeah, and you avoid that angle Caltrop's holding on the street, so you're not even giving away your positioning. It's still a stealth approach under the noses of this defense, and unless Noctum goes for a peek and spots something out, they're not going to really know. Shadow Warrior obviously should be hearing footsteps here, so you should be able to kind of communicate at least one position from the beginner's offense. Pause, able to find Nalik. Evened out now, 4v4.
Yeah, that was my shot. I don't know if I got him.
Killinger in blue room. Rotating away. Are they regrouping? Can Killinger not reload his gun? Is he going to have to go get someone to load his rifle for him? This is basic training, Killinger. How to load your rifle.
But we need to push like...
No, I think he's just coming back for communication. He doesn't want to be radioing in these comms where Shadow Warrior can hear him. And so he drops back to just communicate straight to Strajak and Smoils, who don't require radio to hear him. And then they push up, so this whole plan isn't getting conveyed. Something important to remember. Obviously, you know, but if you're fresh here and don't, the comms are open, and so you can hear each other really wherever, if you're close to each other and you're talking. And so if Shadow Warrior was pushed up there, he could have heard the comms coming in from Killinger and reacted accordingly, but that is not the case. And now Killinger is proning his way up here. Is there a gap in coverage that he can thread? Oh, what happened there?
Oh, no.
That's okay. Not a full kill. Incredibly fortunate. Gets the res, but a little bit of information given away. The smokes are out and the push is coming in. Killinger takes some shots. Caltrop finds one. Killinger finds Mantis. Strayjack pushing in and Shadow Warrior shuts him down. The crash from Beginners getting denied. Caltrop on a rotation and a double from Shadow Warrior as he catches Smoils and Killinger lined up. Vikings lock in map number 1.
Literally in the same doorway, pushing objective at the same time, lined up. I mean, just begging for that double kill. There was only 20 seconds left on the clock.
And geez, what a, I mean, hey, you hate to see it, but disconnects happen in a live environment, and if you don't react quick enough to it, you end up getting yourself into some unfortunate positions. We saw it plague both teams truly, and ultimately it was a 4v4 as the approach came in. Could have been a 4v5 though, and maybe things would have been a touch different for the likes of Beginners. Either way, Vikings play it nice and defend very well. Shadow Warrior with 7 kills. Caltrop knocked him 6 apiece. Nalik, I'm gonna report it as 0 kills in the round, but I know he probably had a few more there. Just the disconnect affecting their ability. And I do think we are going to get a lobby rehost as we do take a brief break in between these rounds. We're not going to go anywhere though. Trip, give me your thoughts on Vikings versus Beginners.
Well, I think I just lost a bunch of channel points.
Okay, there's the thoughts.
I don't even remember how much I bet on that, but let's see what the current, since we're in the future. So 61% voted for Beginners, 39% for Vikings. Points differential, not too much, so, it is what it is. And it was a very close match. I think, like I said, betting on these tight games is so much harder, especially when you have to bet on map 1 or round 1, and you don't even get to see a little bit of how they're feeling tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Taking a look at the replays, match replays, pulling in some old ones, unfortunately, so we'll cut back to scoreboard. My fault for not clearing those out, but I guess you can take a little look at the past game there. Where are we headed? What's our next map? I'm thinking USS Quest. That's maybe why the reason we had to drop out. Maybe someone had to update the map, and that does seem to be the case as we do head to USS Quest for map 2. Feels good to be right on the predictions trip, but what do you think we're going to see here with Beginners and Vikings?
I think we're going to see a lot more aggression. I think we're going to see the other side of Beginners that we're not used to seeing, where they play very aggressively as well. I don't think you can play this map and not be aggressive. I don't know if there's a good passive defense on a lot of these objectives because it's just so easy to get around, to get behind people.
Yep. No, it's honestly a map that I have really come to like as a competitive map. It's super fun to watch, and with all the variety like you're talking about, there's so many angles of approach, different ways you can attack, aggressive, slow, smokes, C4s. There's a lot to it, and I really don't even feel like objective placement plays too terribly an important role. It's really just what side of the map is objective on. Is it on the right? Is it on the left? And how do you defend accordingly? I suppose, granted, with this first, with some of those positions, they can lend to some interesting caps and opportunities and pushes, but either way, it really comes down to that battle of how do you get from one side of this aircraft carrier to the other.
Yeah, and the rotations, I mean, you can go off the ship and go down on that little crevice. You can go around behind superstructure. There's just all kinds of lines. And you can see a lot of the time across the ship. So, like, just the amount of angles that you have to be worried about. Basically, if you stop running, they zero in on your position kind of thing. That's really how I feel about this map. if you're not moving, you're getting circled.
Absolutely, and now I think I have the highlight reel working, so we can take a quick look at some of those replays from the round. Some great back and forth between this team, and overall, a good battle from both beginners and Vikings to lock in. Well, for Vikings, really, to lock in this first map, but beginners keeping it close. So when we move into this second map, it's still anybody's game. Just because Vikings have picked USS Quest, I do not count beginners out in the slightest. I very much anticipate them to put up a very good show here. They competed well on this map against Boss Fight. They put up a good battle. Ultimately, couldn't secure that map either. But still, just a great bit of back and forth in this series, and I think it's going to obviously continue as we get into map number 2. Still waiting on the 5th to load in from Vikings. I wonder if we'll see a sub come in there, but we're not seeing any roster changes from the beginner's side.
I don't know if Vikings. We can go over the full rosters here. So Vikings actually have a full 8-man roster on the site. They've got Nutjob, Fungi, Caltrop, Lone Miyagi, Mantis, Noctum, Nalik, and Shadow Warrior. Beginners, on the other hand, only have a 6-man roster right now. Killinger, Icy Woods, Paws, Smoils, Stragic, and Cushberries. So not a lot of flexibility on their roster to bring in a reservist.
Right. Nutjob was
Vikings.
in last round, right?
Yes.
Oh man, I don't actually know. I don't know.
Noctum, Mantis. No, we're missing.
We're missing.
We're missing Nalik.
Yes. Hey.
Swapped out.
We deciphered the code. Nutjob has been brought in for this map, and hey, Vikings really laying it on thick here. Locked in the beginner's map. Now they've picked USS Quest, and they're bringing in their USS Quest expert, I assume, Nutjob, the team captain at that. And so we'll see if he can really help push this series home, because I mean, geez, you're really a map away right now if you're Vikings from beating beginners, and there's no better way to kick off your season in week 3 than beating a team that has historically won, and been at the top of all of the VRML.
And we're not going to have to wait any longer to watch this action unfold as we hop into round number 1 on map number 2. I mean, I can only assume that this map is going to be as spicy as the last map, so strap in for some crazy action.
Get ready for the high-octane replays and good bit of back and forth, because Quest delivers on that front nearly every time. We'll see what we get as Vikings attack and beginners defend, with already some suppressive fire ringing out from the likes of this offense.
Vikings actually taking a approach we normally don't see. We normally see a lot more people going behind superstructure, but they're opting to come right across the ship, not taking the lower deck, the little shelf, whatever you want to call it, but just right up the middle.
Yeah, charging the middle. Nutjob takes control of the red lane. Icy Woods goes down. Pause, flashes up and over, but Nutjob continues the advance, gets the trade, and down goes the red lane hold. Killinger has to be a bit concerned about that as he does swing for a rotation and maybe a confirm there on Nutjob, but either way, beginners down to just 2. Vikings with 3 and a res available. Scratch that, 2 and a res available. 2 and no res available now as we're into a 2v2.
Stragic getting a bit pushy here, passing the objective on the deck.
Wow. And that's why he wanted to get the angle. Where's the final Vikings attacker? Noctum been staying quiet here in the center of the map.
I confirmed him.
Now we watch beginners try and hold. They've got their 2 lanes covered. Killinger on the red, Strajiak on the ledge, and the trade gets beginners the lead on Vikings map pick here as they kick off at map 2 with a 1-0.
Yeah, that approach getting shut down. You know, I didn't see any big plays. I mean, obviously the approach actually got the red lane, as you call it, cleared out 1 for 2. So that's honestly the biggest play I saw that round. But unfortunately, that wasn't big enough to keep the Vikings momentum, and beginners just shut it down on the mid deck.
Taking a look at predictions, which are now, well, were live, aren't anymore. Wow. What a shift in chat's opinion. Even though beginners kept that close, brought it down to a 3-3, and ultimately did lose map 1. Now the chat has favored Vikings 90% of the voting to 10% to beginners. A heavy shift, and I mean, geez, we get this sort of interesting insight into, okay, you're making these predictions. Is that the wisest choice? All considering beginners have just locked in round 1. Of course, because we're in the future, they don't know that yet. But hey, sure, a lot of people in chat shaking in their boots right now.
Fume with the 15,000 point bet on Vikings.
Yeah, that'll push up the percentages. Still, though, 28.4K total getting put into Vikings, and only about 2 for beginners. So 3, 4, it's climbing. Either way, we're into round number 2 here. Vikings and beginners. Vikings on the defense now as beginners attack.
Beginners pushing up the mid lane as well. Smoils and Killinger pushing up their red lane, but a lot slower on their approach than Vikings were. A defensive offense, if you will.
Yeah, they're taking their time, waiting for the rest of the beginners' offense to sort of line up. And I'm sure once you see maybe Strayjack get into a comfortable position and he moves forward, the rest of this beginners' line will begin to shift as well. But a team that does really well to spread out, but then stay coordinated. It's something that takes a lot of practice.
But will they be ready for Shadow Warrior here, who is prone? I don't think I've seen anyone go prone on on USS Quest. It's so fast.
I mean, he got up there at the start of the round, too, essentially free sprinted without anyone identifying this movement. And so, yeah, he's in a very, well, not too terribly far forward considering where objective is. But he's in a forward position here to catch out a rotation up the middle, and Paz is really going to have a quick reaction time to snap down and find this kill, especially because there's 2 lasers kind of dialed in. Nutjob also has an overwatch there.
I see Woods and Stragic making their approach behind the Heskos.
Killinger nearly blows himself up. Throws a cooked nade just over the other side of the wall, and I think that's what that was. Killinger went right up to the wall, cooks the nade, hucks it over. It airbursts just on the other side of the wall, but Killinger tucks in behind the concrete to ensure he doesn't get hit by it. And a great little play to potentially explode someone up. Smoils would get the confirm since he's looking for that body to come flying, and it would have been a kill, but no one's here in the red lane for Vikings.
Do they have any C4 in the red lane either? Mantis has an AK. Caltrop has a G36, but it doesn't look like he has a... He does have a C4, but it's still on his chest. And here we go. Nutjob. Caltrop goes down...
To his own C4.
C4'd himself?
Yeah. Nutjob on a trade. Shadow Warrior still prone. Now getting up to go for the flank onto Paz as he does swing around. Paz doesn't ID this. There's the C4 toss. Pause there. Shadow Warrior gets the gun up. I see Woods maybe next on his hit list. No, he's not necessarily ready for this offense that's pushing up on him, but he's got himself into a nice spot. There's a great nade from Noctum to down Woods. Shadow Warrior gets the confirm, and Strayjack goes down, or Yeah, goes down to knock him as he tries to swing around for the res. Now we shift our attention to red lane as a trade happens there, and Vikings are left with 2. Smoils not able to res, and we're into a 1v2 here. Beginners trying to pile on. They want to push this lead up.
That's a beautiful pinch between Shadow and Noctum on that
Yeah.
deck approach over there. And good rotations back towards objective to get coverage and making sure that your flank is clear. They didn't get out of red lane and get behind you. And now they just have to wait for an approach. 2 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, I gotta wonder what if they're going to be expecting a front entry, especially after shutting down 3 here. I wonder if Shadow Warrior is going to be necessarily anticipating this push up. I think maybe there's a lack of coverage on objective. I know Shadow can turn and look here, but there's options. The ledge still available for Smoils if he wants to drop down onto it and push up and be behind the defense. He could potentially, like I said, find a gap in coverage and get a cap. Who knows what Smoils can do here as we get into the final 2 minutes of this round 2.
Yeah, I think he can make it all the way to here, the blue container. That's as far as he can get on the deck without being seen. But if he does drop down, he could walk all the way past and then just walk back along the edge of the deck.
Obviously, we know this because we have that bird's eye, but Smoils doesn't necessarily... I mean, he has very limited vision considering... Well, he tried to get that shot on the Shadow. But all these crates deny any sort of idea of what's in front of him, and so he is able to, well, maybe throw them off. A minute left now. This is going to have to be a very quick red lane push from Smoils.
It seems to be working, though. The defense has shifted. And if Shadow's not looking when he comes out here...
Oh, but he is. He's got eyes on. The timing really unfortunate there for Smoils. Shadow Warrior almost looking right at him as Smoils ends up peeking the corner, and Vikings keep this thing close. As you'd expect, we're tied up here in map number 2.
Now the objective moves down the ship to one that I feel like we see get capped on a little bit more often. I mean, obviously we have limited experience with this map. It's only been in the season for 1 season, what, so 3 weeks now? But this one, I know when I play, I always forget how close it is. Or how, sorry, not how close it is. How far away it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, because you can hear it. And when you hear the objective, you're like, okay, I'm close. But you can hear it from the superstructure. You can hear it from, like, and then you're like, oh, it's right there. And then they cap on it, and you're like, oh, well, they're right there too, apparently. So it's not, you kind of forget. And I think you need to play this map more and more because the objectives are all really similar, right? I mean, they're just plopped on in random spots. So the map is not designed necessarily to like guide you to an objective, and I think that that's where a lot of people get confused. You're obviously spawning away from the objective in a lot of these maps. Like I believe on this one you spawn down here between the blue and the purple containers, so you can't even see the objective from your spawn.
Yeah, this objective though in particular on this map I feel like is almost exempt from what we're talking about because it's nearly in the center. It's not necessarily too heavily favored on one side or the other. It's a bit more far forward, in my opinion, than that other objective we had on the other side of the map. And we'll see how quick this round unfolds, because Vikings can get right on top of it with a quick ledge peek here.
Yeah, let's see if beginners get as pushy on their defense and set people up. I mean, those Heskos do provide a lot of cover. Killinger not dropping down, just holding that tight angle on the ledge.
Noctum is here, though, so as soon as they do try and take a ledge peek, he's got a great angle. And if they don't, he's got confirmation that he can advance up along this ledge.
Oh, that second nade's going to catch Icy Woods. I don't think he heard that one.
A great toss, and it's a huge rotation for Strazak. Killinger is able to push up here and get the res, though, but Caltrop is capitalizing off this momentum. There's a good flash up and over. Both are completely flashed. Caltrop doesn't swing the corner. Woods and Killinger's life is spared for now.
Icy Woods does swing the corner and gets Caltrop. Unfortunate, bad timing there, not taking that approach when the flash went perfect.
Had a double kill and a cap, honestly, lined up. So really fortunate that that doesn't get pushed in. In the meanwhile, red lane getting controlled here by Vikings as Paz and Smoils go down. Mantis and Nutjob can now pinch, and the on-objective defense is suffering. Shadow Warrior finds 2. Woods and Killinger go down, and Vikings very quickly lock in another round, getting their lead up 2-1.
Yeah, so the defense there, you know, like we were saying, the objective is almost midship. And I think the bigger problem with that is that to defend on objective, you have to give up your flank. That's exactly what we saw. Vikings pushed around red lane. Beginners only had 1 defender there, or they had 2 actually. But once that collapses, there's nothing you can do on objective, because your options are, I'm going to leave objective and I'm going to go defend the flank, or peek this other direction and get shot in the back, especially when you know that the attack from the ship side had already made it to the Heskos. I mean, they were right on top of that objective when Icy Woods had gotten down from the frag, and then he killed Caltrop on the opposite side of that Hesco rail. So they knew that the attack was danger close. I mean, that's like 15 feet from the objective. And then they lose their flank coverage, and now they have to worry about, we're going to be getting encircled, we're going to be getting shot from both sides, when there's nothing on that objective to, like, there's nowhere to actually defend those angles from. It's just a bad spot to be in, but there aren't any real good options to be in either, where you can sit and wait and watch as someone approaches the objective. You can't be passive on this one. And if you're not on objective, the other thing is that they can go down the shelf side, and they could either bypass the objective and come around from the backside, or they could come right up in the middle and just go for the objective. There's so many options for the offense and not as much for the defense.
Yeah. Yeah, I was hoping, concerned we might be in another tech timeout there, but beginners do have Strazak back in lobby, so maybe just a quick reconnect and things will be back in order. Either way, beginners, yeah, getting almost overwhelmed there from the push, and they can very much do the same thing. This objective really kind of volatile, so anything possible with a beginner's offense. We've seen them come back pretty successfully on Bazaar, and can never count them out here on the USS Quest. As we dive in, look at that beautiful waving flag.
I like the little VRML stickers on all the shipping containers now.
Yeah, that is pretty rad. Love to see it. And what I love to see is a good bit of back and forth as we get debated into a round reset. If maybe you're not familiar, insight into the back end of things. Peel back the layers, if you will, peeling the onion. 2 teams have, I think, 15 seconds at the start of a round to reset a round. So you can join in if you have any connection issues, someone's not having comms, someone's gun's not working, anything like that. You can reset. No penalty goes to either team. And it's a good thing to note that you should never shoot at the start of a round, because first, you give away your spawn, but second, if you do have to reset and you shot, then you're really giving even more time for the enemy team to prepare, because that spawn is going to be the same once the round actually starts. So a lot of little nuance, some little high-level tips coming at you, but either way, we are now, I think, ready to dive into the action. Round number 4, almost said 3, I can't do math.
Yeah, there have not been any caps yet, so this would be 4. And it looks like beginners are going to go strong up the red side.
An interesting choice. Suppressive fire coming in there from Woods. Doesn't quite catch out the rotation from Shadow Warrior, but when we talk about this objective, it feels like that the objective side is the weakest, and this red lane is almost easier to cover, so curious to see what's going to happen if beginners do invest this much into pushing this lane.
And the spot that Nalik has here is exactly where Paz was defending this lane. So, and we talk about it a lot, where you play the spot, or you look for the spots that you play. And so I feel like Nalik's position is going to be pretty expected. There's also the Viper there, the snake.
Shout out to the Lonely Viper. It's a fun little, well, need some more of those spruced around to these custom maps.
Those Easter eggs, man, that's what we live for.
Uh-huh. Want to know what evolution shipping is, too. What's that about?
I don't know, but it looks pretty sketchy to me.
Perfectly reputable brand, okay?
Killinger with his nade. Up. Oh, hits the K-rail and doesn't make it.
Nalik, though, now aware that maybe something's here. Has a utility piece prepped in his hand. Is going to let it fly. Just, almost in. If that had gotten into the crate, man, that would have been a fantastic nade. But it doesn't quite go where Nalik was hoping, and nobody gets caught out. Vikings all still alive. Beginners now down 1. Actually, Vikings down 1, so we're into a 4v4.
Beginners playing it extra slow here. Smoils and Strajak here, just making sure no one flanks. But you can't cover the shelf from those positions, so they could still be getting flanked.
You know what I think we're seeing here, too, is a bit of a return to form for beginners. They're coming back to that slow, methodical pace. On a map like USS Quest, on an objective like this, you almost expect quick aggression, flashes, nades right away, but instead, beginners are simply playing it patiently in this red lane. There's all kinds of cover that they can tuck in behind, and they can really control this side of the map easily, which is what they have now done. And, I mean, we haven't even looked at the other side of this aircraft carrier this whole round.
Well, neither have beginners. I mean, the C4 also covering the exit. I think that's Mantis that has it. No, it's definitely not Nalik's grenade or C4. Nalik's C4.
You found one?
Yes, on the south side of the superstructure. Sorry, north side. I'm turned around right here.
See it. Not necessarily camouflaged in, but also a space that you look. You're not going to check up to a second floor when there's nobody that can be there. So Killinger does swing around, avoids that C4 for now. Mantis takes some shots. Paz and Smoils just barely dodging that detonation. Nalik finds 2 as Paz does confirm the kill. Killinger is going to try and push in. Mantis does get aggressive, gets the kill on the back end. And now Strajak, the lone offender, trying to push up towards objective. Maybe this could work. Nutjob's the only one here, and he's not expecting Strajak. Nutjob goes down. Strajak has a cap opportunity here. Pad comes out, and he's punching in the code. The defense is going to get here in time. Are they? Noctum's trying to crash. He's got an angle, and he can't get it. Beginners get a all-rare cap and push the lead up 3-2.
Wow, clutch plays there by Strajak. Clutch. I mean, just getting onto that objective, taking out the one defender that wasn't looking, and moving into a position where you were protected.
Yeah.
You get there and be ready to type it in. And it just worked out so well. I mean, just barely under the gun.
Yeah, truly a night. I mean, hey, that's the play, right? If you go back to break it down, it's hold red lane, Strajak lingering on that backside of red lane, not necessarily pushing up with the rest of the team. And then as that team draws the distraction, pulls the defense away from the OBJ, Strajak goes almost beelining to it up the middle. Really nicely coordinated, and frankly exactly what you'd expect out of beginners. And man, what a great way to keep themselves in this one, because now they've got this 3-2 lead, and they're on the cusp of taking map 2.
On the cusp, but don't count Vikings out. If they can get a cap, they could turn it around in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I mean, we know these top teams can cap so fast.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, hey, Strajack got that. It's interesting to, you know, Vikings had a cap opportunity. They couldn't get it in time. It's not easy, and it's something that I think sometimes gets kind of overlooked. It's just how difficult capping can be and just how good some people really are at it. I mean, Strajack got the code, pressure on, knows he's getting pushed, and under, I think that was maybe 5 or 6 seconds.
I'd have to go back and look at the replay. I'm sure chat will clip it for us, as that was a very clutch play.
I tried to
Killinger
replay
deciding
it,
to push red lane hard, takes down Nutjob.
Yeah, now beginners, I love this, applying the pressure on defense early, getting themselves a nice pickup along that red lane. Killinger, like you said, a bit forward, and a good setup here from beginners. They are way in front of objective, but that's because they control the lanes and know nobody's getting behind them.
He's dead. He's dead.
Killinger goes down. Strajack finds one up through the center, but not before they lose one as well. And just like that, we're into a 3v3. A great flash up and over from both sides. Smoils, I think, also got flashed by that one as well. And Nalik tucks in and avoids a C4 detonation. So very close for both players here. But either way, action unfolding through the center. Noctum goes down. The push now focused here onto the red lane as Smoils pops up and over. Nalik tries to look for the refrag, but can't quite find it in time. A very quick up and down from Smoils.
Smoils definitely knows he's there. Last Viking standing.
Yeah, and what do you do here? How long do you wait? What's your time? I don't think you have any utility left for Nalik, so the push here is certainly risky. I just don't even know what the right move is for Nalik here. I think it's to keep it silent and just try your luck at crawling up towards Smoils.
I don't know if the hope he gets bored playstyle tactic works on beginners.
Well.
Oh, Nalik takes a random shot. Now has to rotate away. Beginners should be making counts now, making sure they've got an accurate kill count.
I don't know if the center is going to be any easier for Nalik to push through. If anything, a lot more angles to check, but he's got all the time to check them, so certainly maybe a bit more freedom here, obviously, as he's not confined to the one lane with Smoils, so see what happens. But look at this beginner's defense all shifting over here to this red lane.
Nalik and Strajack both crossing mid-deck, same time, just barely missing each other. Errant frag, not going to catch anybody.
Yeah, but it's thrown in the center, so it's even information regardless to work off. They now really can be confident that Nalik's not in the red lane, considering that nade was not in the red lane, and Strajack is looking up through the center. Can't catch Nalik on the rotation. Nalik re-peeks and gets the kill. Now Smoils is on the hunt. We'll see if he can get rid of Nalik, who's in a 1v2.
Pause looked like he was swinging wide there for the angle to defend Smoils, but opts to rotate back towards red lane. Nalik now pushing towards the shelf. Can he get to the objective?
Yeah, Smoils is here holding a tight angle, waiting for this kind of late cross, so we'll see what the push ends up looking like. Maybe he could pillage the body of the enemy in front of him for some utility. I don't know if Paz will see this. But, hey, smoke grenades in hand. Oh, flash is actually, and it's a great flash. Smoils completely blind. A follow-up keeps him there, and Paz almost gets shot. He drops the gun. No, Smoils swings wide. Nalik not ready for it. Beginners just barely take map number 2. A 1v1. Almost takes it 3-3, but Hey, we're trading Matt picks, and I don't know where do we go? What's beginner's choice for map number 3 for the series decider?
Downfall? Is it going to be Downfall? I feel like it has to be.
Did that flash get pause?
I don't know. I'm watching. I got a replay of it, and he dropped his gun.
Right.
So
He
I don't know.
wasn't
if
shooting for a while either, so maybe the gun was bugged again. I mean, we've seen that happening here in these lobbies, so maybe he couldn't shoot with his rifle, tried to go for a pistol, and couldn't get to it in time. Either way, beginners do get the dub. They do hang on to their defensive rounds. Smoils pushes in off of the flash and gets the kill, and man, that was almost, I mean, I think, was he going for the, no, he wasn't in a spot to cap just yet. But he was close.
Yeah, he was really close.
Oh, map 3, not terribly shocked again, as we did say. It's a map that you wouldn't want to pick against beginners. It is going to be Downfall. And I don't know how I feel about this, considering that there's a few new things that obviously you're getting here on Downfall. Smoke's back into play. They don't play as huge an element on Downfall, but they can certainly be important to cross some certain lanes. And then obviously, new objectives, again, being featured here on Downfall. So there still is that variety, despite Downfall being a map that historically both of these teams have played for years now. It's finally getting some new stuff into it, and so can't really kick off Downfall with a better way than with a new objective location, which is going to be the case here for this final map.
Yeah, but I do think that these older teams, there's less practice time required to learn new objectives on Downfall than to learn a new map. So, like, you know, adding, 3 objectives to Downfall, they can just play it until they get those and work on them. I think that they're much more familiar with the map layout itself. So it shouldn't, I don't know, we'll see, because this one in particular, man, is just out there. The East Stables.
Seeing a lot of action going on my Twitch feed here. A couple of subs coming in, a couple of gifted subs as well. Exhibit gifting a sub, we thank you. Global Cop gifting a sub. Sleepy with the 20-month resub, appreciate that. MKS12 with the follow, welcome. Cos Danny with a couple of bits himself, throwing those into the pool, as well as a gifted sub. And yeah, appreciate everyone that has been throwing in the bits, that has followed the channel, and that has been subbing. We love to see the support. The community is booming. I can guarantee you that as a fact, it is continuing to explode. We have tripled in the number of players that are playing in the Onward VRML since Season 10, and it's happening in almost every league. Echo Arena, the same thing. VR Esports is kicking off and in a good way, and so we really do appreciate the support, because we are going to continue to drive VR Esports and eventually, you know, maybe get to shake some hands in real life.
That's why we all play, right? We want to meet the players. We're not in it for the prizes or the glory. We're in it for the beers afterwards at the bar.
You know, it's interesting. I do think one of the things that does make VR such an exceptional tool during these times is that you really do get to communicate and enjoy interaction with your friends at a level that you just don't get in other games. And to that point, it even makes meeting them in real life that much more impactful, because you have had much more physical and real interactions with that person over the course of your time becoming a friend with them. And so, you know, while it is nice to meet, you still do get quite a lot out of the VR medium, which I think is one of its greatest selling points, so to speak. But either way, a little bit of chit-chat as we do prep and get teams in lobby here on Downfall. Another great time, I suppose, to shout out the Echo Arena Challenger Cup this weekend, as well as the finals for their Season 3 next weekend. Pretty good cash pool on the prize pool on the line, totaling, I think, now at $8,200. Wow, that would be something else. $8,200. So a good prize pool there that these teams are going to be competing for this weekend and next. So be sure to tune in there. And obviously, with Season 11 underway, more regular season Onward matches here and on Onward VRMLs 2 and 3. Going to want to be following those channels as well. Last but not least, a little fun thing me and Trip will be doing, Population 1 Invitational, getting cast on my channel tomorrow. So tons of stuff this weekend that you're going to want to be tuning into. Best way to keep track of it all is to follow the social medias. Head on over to Twiddle, not Twiddle. Twitter, and follow the Echo Arena Twitter, the Onward Twitter, the VRML Twitter, so that you can be notified. You can follow me on Twitter at the NightFiree with 2 E's. I believe Trip's also on there if you really want to be tracking whatever Trip's doing.
You don't. It's just food pics. Don't follow me. Don't at me.
Either way, we do appreciate also everyone that has been tuning in. Like I said, thank you for the subs, the follows, bits, everything that has been going into this. Also, shout out to everyone that's predicting. I mean, I want to know what the predictions here on Downfall. We got to wait because we're in the future, but with both lobbies now, both sides now filled, the teams are in. This Downfall map should be kicking off any minute here, and this is it. I mean, this is the series decider. I don't think we've had I mean, I haven't cast, I don't think, a map 3 decider yet.
I feel like we've had a lot of them, but yeah, maybe you're right.
I just feel like the games have been really close, but teams have been winning 2 maps pretty consistently. Either way, I'm happy that we get a best of 3 here with the beginners versus Vikings. I almost said with the Vikings. That certainly wouldn't be anything.
You and your words today. Just run cams, man. Just do what you're good at.
Yeah, I'll just keep my mouth shut. You're right.
We did have a swap on the Viking side again. Nolik is back in, and who does that knock out? Nutjob is out.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, maybe not the perfect sub, but still, you love to see it, and I do think it is obviously an important element that teams do focus on, is having a powerful sub roster. Either way, we're back to what was the winning roster for Vikings as we go into beginners map pick, Downfall, and beginners kicking it off on the offense.
And this is the quickest spawn, I believe, for this objective. Nolik getting the peek and ducking back as fast as possible.
Early aggression coming in for beginners, and I think what they're doing here is they're trying to grab a very early pick off of this quick spawn, and then most likely pause, reassess, adjust their positions, and start to collapse around the objective, maybe even from the north side. But until they get that pick, it's just going to be them on the hunt, and no one's been scooped up just yet. A great little transfer from Killinger from Nolik on to VR Marksman, Shadow Warrior do keep them down, but no one's dead just yet.
Yeah, if you take a look at where Pause and Smoils are looking over here, they are watching for this rotation. The beginner's play here is to maintain map dominance and keep the Vikings in this little sliver of the map. They have, what, 5 buildings that they can get to without being taken out.
Yeah, it's an interesting defensive setup. I've seen a couple of different setups for this objective, which is what I love probably most about the new OBJs, is just the variety that we get as casters. But this is much more focused around objective and not necessarily focused on preventing them from getting close to it. It's almost a kill box setup, but no one's really got too great of coverage on the front of that. As I stand corrected, Mantis is there with an angle, but a curious setup that that I do want to see get tested as beginners slowly set themselves up for the attack.
Stones are putting some shots onto Nolik. Shadow gets Icy Woods on his cross towards the crater skyline area. Letting Nolik live another day as he's watching that hill where Killinger is at the rocks. But we're seeing a lot of the teams are using the environment and the terrain as cover instead of buildings and other things. Nolik once again peeking into Killinger's line of fire, taking more shots, not getting hit. Maybe he's just trying to verify where Killinger's at. He wants to make sure he's still there.
Yeah, and a nice big pickup from Vikings. does put them into a good spot, and ultimately beginners losing an element that I think was going to be important to their push, a key flank position that does get detected, and now they don't have that element of surprise that they were hoping to establish. Instead, they are really going to have to challenge head-on this defensive setup.
Speaking of clutch flank positions, we've got Stragic over here. He's now in the Volk Tower. And I don't think he's going to be opposed if he just keeps going towards North Hotel. He'll have a pretty easy cross, and then they'll be able to put that pressure down on the objective.
One is in.
Taking a look at the bets trip, and oh, how the tides have turned. Vikings
Turntables turn.
getting favored heavily last round and losing. Now beginners, 70% to 30% on the votes, so we'll see. I mean, so far, everyone's been dead wrong on predictions. I'm not sure what to expect from that.
Yep, he's still alive in the crater, closer to the east side, but he was moving towards the west.
Stragic is now pushing up to Red Truck. Upper Red Truck, as well as Smoils using those little defilades to get up under the Marsoc Tower.
Yeah, that tower, really powerful position for this objective. Surprised it wasn't taken by any defensive position, and Shadow Warrior seemingly ready for this as he's got a great angle from the rock, dials into the head, and finds himself a kill. Now, my question is, can Smoils thread a needle here up to this OBJ if he gets the proper distraction from Stragic? That if is now dead since Caltrop finds the kill, and so I don't know if Smoils is going to have an easy time crossing up here.
I mean, that's kind of a distraction, right?
Yeah, for a brief 10-second one.
It still doesn't look like anyone's looking
It really doesn't.
at the front. I mean, he just has to kill Noctum, and then he's inside, and, you know, that's one of those... Well, they're tucked in, and I have to get around the door to get the kill. Nalik, however, with a rotation North Villa now, that might put a damper on Smoils' plans as we are looking to see where he's going to go.
Oh, I got to update. I stand corrected on my prediction percentage. We're almost now dead even.
Shadow putting more shots onto the Marsoc Tower. Killinger opting to go for that window and almost getting his head taken off immediately
Guys, I
as
have
well.
the gun bug.
They definitely don't know that Nalik is rotated. They're looking
Oh,
for someone
no.
over in that crater still.
Yep, Shadow has to essentially sacrifice himself because he can't reload his weapon. An unfortunate reality that there is some bugs from time to time and essentially costing them a life. Smoils does go down to Mantis as he tries to make his entry, and now Killinger is trying to push up, and with one down, it is kind of an open entry. But yeah, time's of the essence here. Flash comes in. I don't know if that catches Noctum. Caltrop's on the backside. It certainly didn't get him. Killinger goes down, and Vikings, even with a rifle getting pulled out of their hands, snag this round and take an early lead here in the series decider.
Yeah, time forcing that one at the end there. Both flanks getting shut down as well. Great plays by Vikings, just catching those movements and taking them out really limits the amount. I mean, if you're beginners and you lose both your flank plays, do you go, okay, we're going to send two more and try and do it because we need that flank, or do you just kind of push the last three up the middle? And obviously, we watched him try and push the last three up the middle, and it didn't work out either. I don't know that the other play would have worked better, because then you're spread three wide on a map, and you spend a lot of time to do it.
You know, again, a couple of well-placed smokes on that objective in particular really would have shut down vision from a lot of angles. You know, there could have been relatively uncontested entry from that offense if they had just thrown a couple of smokes there towards the objective, but flashes and nades have really become a predominant choice for these teams at the high level. Flashes in particular really making a resurgence in Season 10, obviously, with smokes getting pulled, but even now, with smokes being an option, we're seeing teams favor those flash grenades because they really do lead to some very good plays that you just can't get from smokes. Still, smokes are valuable. They can do a job too. It's just well, I don't know. We're just not really seeing it here quite yet on this third map. Only been
Definitely
around.
On the longer range maps, you should see more smoke, obviously, right? I mean, a frag's great, but you get one frag, you can get 2 smokes. 2 smokes gives you more coverage.
Yeah.
460,
the fuck, man?
460, 460.
Different spawn here for the likes of
remember.
Vikings. They're not going to be
Don't kill
taking
yourself over
shots
naked.
very early, and curious to see how beginners react off of not getting shot at out of spawn. But either way, Vikings memorizing the code, very much cap a potential on their mind. You always got to be ready for it. We'll see if they can get close enough to objective as we dive into round 2.
Pillinger getting shot at on the skybox here from all the way across the map. You can see those tracers raining in. You can't even hear the shots so far away. Killinger and Woods now just returning fire blindly across the map.
This is new. You did not used to be able to get back behind this mountain. The wall was a bit closer. And so Killinger and Woods taking up this defilade position, denying vision by just staying underneath this little ledge, and they've got a great little overwatch down onto objective.
Yeah, but again, it's super far away,
Super.
and all the offense has to do is keep a building between them and the tablet, and there's no running that one back.
No, it is incredibly, it's, yeah, like you said, very risky for beginners to be taking, but if it pays in dividends and kills, it's very much worth it, and the innovation will get them the W. We'll see what Vikings end up doing, considering it seems like they're aware that there is 1 or 2 up on this ridge. You can see the laser from, I think, Shadow Warrior and Nalik both trying to hunt for that kill.
Yeah, the entire North Hotel is just scanning the horizon lines. Meanwhile, you've got Caltrop pushing up. He's at the red truck, moving towards upper red truck. Was putting rounds on Deposit's position in the Marsac Tower. Now he's going to go try and make a move on to Stragic. Stragic's not looking at the bottom. He was looking at the top of those stairs and misses Caltrop making his way in here. It's a very good staging position for the Vikings to be at.
Beginners now favored by the chat vote with a hefty investment from Seaquick, 55,000 channel points. I very much imagine that's all of the points he's ever earned watching Onward.
I'd assume so. That's pretty much where I'm at.
Well, I wouldn't recommend that. These points are going to have some value in a few weeks' time.
I mean, I don't know if I'd recommend voting for beginners. That's
Yeah,
I don't know at this point. I didn't vote on this round 3, man. I kept my points to myself on this one.
Get on these. Holy crap, I can.
On board
Pause.
Caltrop, who's got himself a nice little vision out from this window. Pause, like you said, has a great line of sight from that tower, and they're looking for him there in the tower. You see the lasers from both sides, both Noctum and from that north building, looking for this kill from Pause because of how powerful a defensive angle it is. And, well, he's just going to continue to hold this cross, essentially, if they don't get rid of him.
Taking more shots, makes a call out, and tucks in. Pause, basically pinned. And if he moves backwards, ooh, long range shots from Icy Woods clearing out Nalik in the north there. That's a great teamwork there. I mean, Pause draws the fire, hides, makes a call out. The shots ring in from a totally exposed side. Caltrop now up on Stratic's building.
Yeah, throws a bit of a strange smoke there to deny vision through the window as he does get close and is now waiting for Strajak to peek this doorway.
Killinger. Ooh, Caltrop gets Stragic. Killinger got one from the hill as well. Shadow Warrior trying to find those long-range shots from North Villa. Behind the wall.
Just missed
It's
there.
so hard to hit those people on those skylines, man. I've tried so I've wasted all 4 mags trying to hit someone at range like that. It's just so hard.
Caltrop's going for a play here, trying to get up inside, and he does. By doing so, avoids the shots from IC Woods, who's looking to keep him tucked in there. And you can see now Caltrop's on the hunt for the refrag. Shots just zipping over Woods' head. And to your point, it's a tiny little head peek that beginners are doing here on this ridgeline. And with where Vikings are positioned, they're going to have a tough time dealing with this defensive setup.
Shots are just ringing out and not connecting. There's gonna need to be some suppressing fire or something to make this cross. Caltrop suppressing while Shadow Warrior makes it to the next building. Killinger is rotating to the tank and he catches Shadow Warrior. Caltrop now last Viking standing. Can he make it to the objective? He can't suppress this anymore without giving away his position.
I like the angle. It's sneaky. And there, after taking the shots, he is known. Killinger instantly peeks up and over, finds himself a nice kill off of a long rotation from the dunes, and ultimately beginners keep this thing close, just as you'd expect, as we go tied up 1-1 in map 3.
Some great plays on a new objective. That's exactly what we want to see. That was so tight on both rounds. I mean, both teams have clearly done their homework. They've practiced that. They knew what they wanted to do. Beginners obviously wanted that ridge line. And now we're moving to an old objective. We're going to the upper dumpster, or whatever weird call out. I hear EU people use different call outs that I just don't understand.
Like what?
So whatever they call it, I don't know. I've heard like meat shop and stuff before on this map. I don't even know what building it is to like point it out because I don't know what they were talking about.
The Lou? It's the Lou objective? Maybe that's an EU term, right? I think of some others. Yeah, you can't think of any, can you?
Now, I mean, they call like North Watch and like Crater Building different things.
Oh no, I'm just trying to now think of what different names they names they have for rooms.
It'd be upper bin and lower bin. You know.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Right?
Yeah, that's what it is. There, now we're on to something, Trip. Objective
Radar
and
knows all
upper
about
bin. We got to keep it EU friendly, okay, Trip? We're in the. This is an EU night battle here. We got to be sure we're keeping it familiar to the crowd. With radar going up a bin and
just
low a bin.
Just radar
and,
button.
Yeah, whatever a radar accent sounds like. I don't freaking know. You try. Give me your radar impression right now. Ready, go.
Oh God. I don't know. We're hopping into round 6, or round 3. We're not gonna do a radar impression. Wait, where's the? There they are. Vikings spawn.
Wow, just sidesteps the pressure. I did one.
I kind of black out every time radar talks, so I don't actually know what his accent sounds like. It's just good.
It's like cool noise to your ears. Icy Woods finds knocked him. The cool noise of suppressive fire feels good for beginners as it does net them a kill. And Killinger, look at this. He's advancing quickly.
All of that suppressing fire is a distraction. Killinger's gonna he has to deal with Mantis, I think, to make it around the outside of this building. But yeah, he's just waiting now.
Really a great back and forth that we've had so far today. Really glad that you and me could jump in this afternoon and night for the EU crowd to catch this matchup because, man, it has been delivering. Both teams duking it out, and now, I mean, Killinger is really far up here. I don't anticipate Vikings expecting anyone to be at where he is now.
I like his play though. He's there and he's not doing anything. He's waiting. Now he's making radio calls, but the rest of the team, you can see Smoils and you can see Icy Wood's going for the far flank. He's going for that skyline. He's going to go up into the South Hills. Smoyle's coming around towards East Church. And they're really trying to do an encircle on this objective.
Yeah, they're trying to get set up, and I think they'll be able to do it relatively uncontested. The only threat to the likes of that kind of rotation is Shadow Warrior, who is positioned up there on the upper hilltop building, but I don't think he's checking. And as he dips out, he's dangerously exposed to the likes of this rotation. And he just can't find Icy Woods and ultimately Smoyles, who end up killing him. But a great little push there from Beginners. Again, the long rotation gets them a good pickup, and they're looking to snag a Marsoc round here as they prep for the attack. 5v3 advantage in hand.
That is pulling Mantis's... Ooh, a shot rings out right over Mantis's head. That is pulling his attention. He has to keep watching that the valley now, and so he doesn't get flanked because no one can actually see it.
Yep, one is Dumbstalker.
Killinger exposing
Caltrop
himself
can see it.
now, taking those suppressive shots off, and they still do have good objective hold. You know, Nolix there, obviously on OBJ. Caltrop can peek down from the window, but he's also watching the South Ravine. And on top of that, you have Mantis there, but we'll see. I just don't know what the proper hold is here, and I don't know if Nolix rotating like this is the right move, but I think he's made it here undetected.
That grenade.
Oh.
So close.
Refrag goes out, not nearly far enough, and both nades getting used. A little action, and here comes the encirclement from this offense. As Nolix takes shots from the 3-story, he has to be careful about peeking out too far on his backside as well, because Woods and Smoyles have angles there. This is getting dangerous for Vikings.
Even if they don't... Even if Beginners don't get close to the objective, what they're doing is they're not allowing rotations. It's tragic. I mean, like, he just ran across the middle of the map totally unopposed. And now he's going for the objective. He's got tablet out. He's reading the code. He's going for it in the smoke. Tragic's capping.
Yeah, he's fully cooked in here. Nolix took shots through the smoke, didn't find anything, and Strajak with the swing up through the middle gets the second cap of the series for Beginners. They are certainly evolving as we see here just in this season, because Beginners is a team that has not historically attacked for caps, and I mean, we've seen 2 here in a very high level matchup and 1 on a series deciding map nonetheless.
Yeah, that's not how you want to lose
Oh.
your map 3 is to caps. Especially that one. There's one spot that you can cap this objective, right? I mean, that's the only spot. And that if there's smoke in that spot, someone needs to be in it. Someone needs to be shooting in it. It's better to die and lose a point than to get capped on and lose 2.
Totally agree with you there. It's the weight on your shoulders and the weight of decision making that is something that well, it's one of my favorite things to watch in Onward, to watch the process and to see what players decide. Ultimately, a good bit of back and forth here, and I do want to take this time while we do have a moment in between rounds to shout out a couple of more subs. I mean, dang, y'all are active today. Global Cop coming in with another community, another gifted sub. The Defraudu coming in with a 3 months Prime sub, and Too Old to Game with 16 months of Prime subscription. We, again, really do appreciate the support that y'all are showing, and it keeps us coming back. It keeps me, well, I would cast anyway, but we do appreciate it regardless.
Also want to give a shout out to Archer, who actually did a donation on the VR Master League page.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, really do appreciate the engagement and the interaction, and couldn't be happier with, well, season 11 so far. See, the week 3, it's just been nonstop, really fun games to cast. I haven't cast a game that I haven't been nearly out of my seat about, it seems. Everything close, all the action, great, high level play, really fun to watch. And, well, maybe we're just a round away from seeing this series finalize itself with Beginners getting a W. They're just a point away, and Vikings very much on their back foot as we dive in to round number 4.
They put those smokes out to cover that cross, but the shots are ringing out. Killinger having to rotate away and go for the Humvee instead.
And I almost feel that those smokes are a double purpose, right? It's a great little tactical play. The smokes get dispersed there, and if that suppressive fire doesn't come out, then you take control of the building that they smoked there. If it does, information gained, the adjustment is that Killinger knows the spawn is in the northeast, and he can push up to this building to be able to attack uncontested. So a smart play that gets them information that they are then acting off of here to try and lock in this round. And whoa, what an M203 launch to thread through the window and down Killinger.
Yeah, excellent play there by Mantis. That res not going to come out. Killinger is going to be able to give out callouts though,
get me killed, so
and that's going to be a pretty difficult confirmation because you have to go in from the other side of that building to get into that room.
And even Mantis literally saying exactly what you're saying there. He says it's going to be a death for me if I go to confirm, so I just wait for him to bleed out. That is exactly the situation that he finds himself in. He can't go and get that kill. Frankly, no one can go and res him either, but as I say that, maybe there's a chance of someone on a rotation there. Is that Smoils? No.
No, it can't be.
It's not. No one going for that res, and I do think we had a disconnect on the likes of Beginners. So of all the rounds, what could be your series decider, they're into a, well, now 3v5.
Yeah, it looks like Icy Woods has dropped, unfortunately. Now, the bleed out time, I believe, is still around 2 minutes, if I'm not mistaken.
That one just avoided all my bullets in the east.
So they can actually just sit here and wait until Killinger dies. There's nothing stopping them from doing that.
Yep, they have the time, and Mantis, by peeking this corner, is exposing himself to Smoils. Man, I've really been mashing words together today.
Saw that high onward action. We got to get your heart rate down. You're going to have an aneurysm.
Too much blood flow going on. Either way, more shots getting taken by Noctum, and also Mantis up from the center. Noctum's on the hunt for Smoils, and he just missed him when Smoils went for that peek on the ridge. And so Smoils now maybe losing the ability to check effectively down through the center, and we'll see if Mantis acts appropriately off of it. They don't know that they have such a disparity in this feed. Am I looking at... Look at my overhead. I'm only seeing... Oh, I'm seeing 5 on Vikings. I was thinking maybe we had another disconnect. That would have really been something. But no, it's still a 5v3 for Vikings.
5v3 and 1 angry Russian. Half an angry Russian.
The east stables from Narcissus.
Smoils actually moving up, but as I say that, the bleed out does occur. Killinger is no longer on the field, which means the middle is open.
And look at the timing. Mantis knows as soon as he kills this person that they got the timer. Okay, 2 minutes from now. And as soon as that timer is up, Mantis is pushing in because he knows the player's dead. No comms are coming. They won't know he's going to be crossing there. Just a really savvy play from Vikings, but we'll see if it's enough. They still have to cross, get up to objective. There's no utility coming in here. Suppressive fire seems to be the key element for Vikings, and I gotta wonder if it's enough to get him up to OBJ.
I think Smoils just took some rounds. I heard his character model yell out, but I didn't see any guns or any tracers, so I don't know where it came from. Nalik now pushing up onto his position, and a trade comes out. That clears up the Marsoc twins. Now it's just Pause and Stragic on defense. Stragic in the hills, or in the valley, and Pause on objective. This is exactly the same defensive setup we saw on the previous round where the cap happened.
You gotta wonder. Yeah, Stragic is checking. So Pause is confident staying tucked in. Stragic on a pretty big rotation here so that he can get a more secure angle onto the other side of this objective. And he's actually going to go right to where Caltrop was aiming, up into that second story. So maybe not exactly the right rotation. As he does spot Caltrop, he drops off. Caltrop stands up, looks for the shot. Strayjack finds the head.
I was looking to see if there were any more M203s hanging out on the Viking side. Maybe we can see one. Because obviously using one on Paz's window is a great use of an M203 as well.
Shadow catches the limb of Strayjack. He has to heal, and Paz puts suppressive fire up and over to allow the heal to come through. But the pinch is coming in here from Vikings. They're trying to encircle around it. Paz is somewhat aware of this as he does take a gander over behind him towards Mantis's position.
Strajak out in the open, crossing back towards objective. Shadow goes down, or takes down Paz.
Huge.
Objective is open. Strajak, last man alive. He's getting shot from behind as Mantis pushes up. And Vikings secure a point, stay alive in the series.
Wow. Beginners just doing enough to get themselves the dubs, and a great bit of excuse me, that was Vikings taking that win. I'm sorry, I lost control of the scoreline. But either way, a good bit of work there from Vikings to keep themselves in it. Beginners trying to defend. It's tough when you have a disconnect. Obviously, you're into a 4v5, and you lose one right at the start of the round to an M203 launch. So not exactly an optimal set there from Beginners, but either way, good capitalization from Vikings. And now Beginners go on that offense with the same objective. Curious to see... Oh, no, a different one.
Objective.
Just a... Is it not
Heli
shift?
bungalow.
Oh, yes, there it is. I was looking for it. I thought it had shifted to maybe lower bin, as they say. But, yeah, heli bungalow. I mean, I wonder what's the EU term for bungalow?
I feel like bungalow is a EU call out. I don't think I've ever called anything a bungalow. But like heli shack would be like the NA equivalent.
Yeah, hey, you're right. Maybe some of their call outs are
They're bleeding over.
Bungalow. Brothel, another... I don't think I've ever said that in the English. My time as a English-speaking person.
Hey, you've never been to the brothel?
No, I can't say I have. I've also never been in a bin, though, so what do I know? Round number 5. Quick math. Off the top, there's been a cap. It was locked in by the likes of Beginners. I just went to the wrong scene there. We want to stay on the action as it does unfold, and as we do get into round 5.
Vikings on defense going to be pushing out. Knocked him going for the heli. Mantis and Shadow Warrior. This is a pretty common defense. I think we've seen this a couple of times on this particular objective. They send Nalik out far east down the road. Caltrop just hangs out behind this wall, takes shots, pot shots when he can, tries to draw that attention. And the guys in center are doing the objective coverage. But I believe they got capped on last time we saw him do this.
Yeah, this objective in particular really lends itself to a nice solid kill box. To the point of the brothel, a heavy investment in sending 1 or 2 into that brothel goes a long way in defending this objective. And I mean that in terms of the angles being very long and you getting to cover a lot of range, but also just the vision onto OBJ. You really do get a good, almost full spectrum coverage. And it's not necessarily what we're seeing here from Vikings. They are much more forward, almost... in some cases, looking for some early picks. The likes of Noctum's positioning is certainly what that spot's intended for, to try and grab an early pick.
And it doesn't look like Beginners have any 203 utility on their kits. So we're not going to see any long-range explosions, unfortunately. Which I really think that brought so much balance to this map.
Yeah.
Being able to put those... I mean, it still takes a decent amount of skill to get that angle right, but to be able to put those through windows and things... and as we saw, it's more likely a down than a kill, so you still have to deal with the person. But it's just... It's a great utility for this map in particular, and I honestly, I would like it. You can only take one per team, and I would prefer you could take two per team.
Are trying to find a little action from underneath the truck, throwing some suppressive fire out and just prepping for what is going to be the cross here up to their next building. That's actually a pretty good smoke that will deny vision from that center hotel if there were defenders looking out from it, but no one really holding there any outward angles, and beginners are going to really be able to move up this north side pretty freely.
Stragic now pushing down towards the crater. Gonna be able to clear underneath Caltrop's vision, but will he be ready to deal with Caltrop, or is he gonna be focused on the objective when he makes this push?
Do wonder what the intention is here.
I mean, pull up that overhead right now. We've got 100% encirclement. We've got one in the South Hills, we've got one in the valley, and then 3 in the north. If the approach is timed well, I feel like the setup here is pretty on point. I'm surprised that no one has seen Caltrop from that South Hill. Is that pause is actually going to go... I mean, like, he's almost off the minimap. He's going up towards the southwest stables.
Yeah, stables. I was going to say something about a farm is what that's called. Stables. A call out that we don't often refer to because very rarely do you get anybody that gets up there.
I'm not pushing center hotel.
It does seem like they've expanded the map, the exterior of the map, so how far you can go.
Strajac finds one. A nice pickup onto that center hotel position. Weakens the on-objective defense just a touch. We gotta keep an eye on pause too. I want to see how this rotation comes to fruition.
Shots from pause onto Nalik, doesn't catch him at the bin. I don't think Nalik really knows where those came from.
Ooh,
Smoils with the pickup though. Literally pinched in between two players and trying to get back to objective.
Caltrop really tucked in here. Finds one trying to rotate on the backside. A nice shot that does get them back into this game just a bit here on the defensive end of things, but they are still down a couple of key kills here, and Caltrop's on the hunt for that wood shot as Killinger does also look for these kills. Caltrop just barely avoiding here, danger here. There it is. Finally, the stables position comes to fruition. Pause finds the kill, and now Mantis definitely getting a little bit worried as he's tucked in close to objective, and they've just knocked him.
Mantis, last man standing, knocked him down in the plane. Mantis has pretty good coverage on the objective, but he's definitely going to have to get up on there or go down as Killinger secures point number 4. Map number 2 for beginners and the series.
Man, a hard-earned victory from this beginners team, but they do come out with a W here, just barely avoiding going down to the hands of Vikings. An incredibly close Bazaar map, bringing it to 3-4. USS Quest 4-2. Downfall 4-1. Beginners, they're a team that you just can never sleep on, and while Vikings started hot, they definitely started to cool down in the later rounds.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was because they did have roster swap between all 3 maps. I'm not sure if swapping players... I mean, you put Nalik back in on map 3, and you played on map 1. So you had him cooling down the entire map 2, and then brought him back. Yeah. I'm not sure that that's the call. But I guess it depends on the player. If you're not feeling it, you're not feeling it, right? I'm not going to make someone play... I'd rather someone that was hyped to be there, you know, play, and so it's really a team's call. But for the most part, swapping rosters when you're doing well is not a good idea, in my opinion.
Yep, agree with you on that. Either way, a fun series to tune into. Truly a joy to cast, and appreciate everyone that has been tuning in and hanging out today to watch this afternoon series. The Friday night EU fights being delivered to you with all kinds of hype, that is for sure. Quick shout out to everyone again that has been hanging out. Button UK coming in with a 10-month sub. We do appreciate that, amongst everybody else that has subbed, thrown out bits, and followed today. We really do appreciate all of the support. It's incredible to see. Shout out to everyone that has been putting down predictions and getting some channel points. A reminder that those are going to have increased value as we go in to the rest of this season 11. More options become available to you with those channel points, so don't necessarily throw them away just yet. And also, again, another reminder to tune into the Echo Arena Challenger Cup. And this weekend and the finals next weekend is going to be some great action. You can watch it on venues. You can catch it on twitch.tv/VRMasterLeague. It's going to be fun. On top of that, obviously, more Onward as well, as Season 11 is well underway. So be sure, again, to follow this channel as well as Onward VRML 2 and 3. And also a shout out to all of our sponsors coming together to sponsor Season 11, HyperX, Asterion, VR cover, ProTube VR, Cyber Shoes, all coming out to sponsor the league. We really do appreciate everyone that ends up offering prizing to our champions. It really puts a nice competitive edge for those top tier competitors. With that, I got nothing else left. Trip, you have any final thoughts on the day?
I am being told that there is a West Bakery call out on Downfall. I don't even know what building that is to point it out. I can't imagine. Maybe that's the one between Brothel. I don't know.
Good points, and we'll get more. Well, me and Trip will practice up on our EU-onyms, if you will, so that we can be better versed in all the phrases that we need to be to make everyone at EU feel right at home. Either way, again, thanks you all for hanging out. That'll be it from us here at the desk. My name has been NightFiree with 2 E's, my co-caster Trip with 3 nips. We'll see you all most likely this weekend with more action. Be sure to tune in. You don't want to miss it. Until then, we'll see you later.